Warning. Warning. You are about to enter the propaganda report.
That's right.
With Brad Binkley.
You have entered the propaganda report.
Warning.
With Brad Binkley.
You are about to enter the propaganda.
And we have a special show for you all this Wednesday evening. We're doing a crossover show with a podcast called the Wonder and Whimsy Podcast, hosted by Kim Hamilton. And this is a show where Kim and her guests, they talk about philosophical subjects. And you guys know that I love philosophy. I'm very much an intellectual, as everybody knows, and that's how everybody perceives me. And I do love talking about these deeper questions of, philosophic nature. And we're going to address one today, some material that I think you guys are definitely familiar with and perhaps even fond of. We're going to talk about the manifesto titled Industrial Society and Its Future by Theodore J. Kaczynski, also known as the Unabomber, also known as Uncle Ted, probably to some of you. And so I'm going to bring Kim on in a second, but what we're going to do here is, because we're going to do a little crossover thing, is I'm going to start off throwing my style of questioning at her just very briefly, and then I'm going to pass the reins over to her, and I'm going to follow her lead and show you guys a little bit what her style of show is, which I think is very interesting, because I know a lot of people here are into literature, are into philosophy, some into poetry, and I think it's cool to explore different styles of shows, and that's what we're going to do today. So without further ado, welcome back to the show, a quickly becoming fan favorite, Kim. Good to see you, Kim. Thanks for coming back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to dive right into this, because the other day we had an interesting interaction where you were sounding like Ted Kaczynski to me.
Yeah.
And so I asked you if you'd read his manifesto, and you hadn't. And so what I want to know is, because I think this is important right now, how did you feel about, what was your perception of the Unabomber before you read his manifesto? And now that you have, and outside of the murderous tendencies, realize that you're just like him.
Well, I don't know if I'm just like him. But I was surprised to find out that we do align in some respects, in some ways, for sure. So the other night, I was texting you because I was thinking about how much technology is a source of a lot of dysfunction in society. I think technology is very much to blame for a lot of disconnection between relationships. And if we didn't have technology, I wonder about this all the time, if the Industrial Revolution hadn't produced what it has evolved to today, would we be better off or not? And it's kind of a complicated question, because in some respects, society has improved. The death rate has gone down. But the environment, after the Industrial Revolution, like the environment, we have all these climate issues and like air pollution and forestation and even though like medicine has improved, the life expectancy has improved, and people are living longer, does that mean, what is progress? It's like, how do we define what progress really is? Is it just because we can live longer? Are we living better quality lives? So
Ted doesn't think so, does he?
Yeah. So when I was listening to a lot of what he said was surprising me, because my only memory of the Unabomber was hearing about him when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the Unabomber, he's sending bombs in the mail.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he must be crazy. And
right.
So when you asked me if I had read his manifesto, when I was younger, I'd be like, why would I want to read some crazy guy's
It's like,
manifesto?
have you read Mein Kampf?
Yeah. But now that I'm older, it's like I like learning. It also kind of reminded me of this. I used to tell people in high school, when people would call me weird, I would be like, calling me weird is just a convenient way for you to deny your lack of understanding. And
That's what you would say to him?
yeah, like playfully, but that's the thing. It's like it's easy to write someone off as crazy just because we don't understand them. But what if we're all crazy and that one person is actually sane? Who is the arbiter of what's crazy and what's sane? Maybe
Where's the chemical imbalance is what I always say. People say you have a chemical imbalance to people who are given certain disorders, and I always say, show me a chemically balanced person.
by what standard? You know, it's like who sets the standard for what chemical balance is?
Right.
Like, for instance, people that are schizophrenic. What if they can actually see reality for what it is and the rest of us are delusional? What if, like, people that are diagnosed schizophrenic are actually tapping into a different dimension and we're calling them crazy,
That's
but
right.
we're actually just not as tapped in? Anyway, these are kind of like the thoughts that started entering my mind as I was reading his manifesto.
And you said you felt conflicted. What I think it's cool that you did read it is right now, especially, people will determine how they feel about information based on who says it, and will often reject stuff simply because it comes out of someone's mouth who they don't like, and they won't actually look into it.
Yeah.
And the reality is, you don't have to love the Unabomber or love what he did to gain from what he wrote.
Yeah.
And your willingness to do that, did it change your perception of him?
Yeah, and I was thinking about that a lot as I was reading this. I kept wondering, okay, if somebody read this not knowing who wrote it, would that change how they perceive it? And my guess is probably yes, because when we already formulate an opinion about the author of something, we go into it with a bias. It's impossible not to. If we already have an opinion about someone, similar with like art, like actors, for instance. Like I was talking to someone the other day about the movie American Beauty. That came out in the 90s. And when it came out, I thought it was like so amazing. And, 2026, I look at that from a different lens. But somebody was saying, well, now it's like, I don't like Kevin Spacey because he turned out to be a creep, right? This is kind of like a parallel. So my thinking is can you separate the artist? Just because he's a creep, does that mean he's not a talented actor? Just because in his personal life he's a little different. He's, but does that mean he's not a good actor? Just because the Unabomber did what he did, does that mean that he didn't actually have some valid points?
Yeah. And I think in response to that is who's pure? Who's 100% pure? If we can only accept information from people who are 100% pure and have never done anything considered to be bad or negative, I know there's a scale, obviously.
Yeah. Then
we're going to not be able to accept information from anyone.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It's like, everyone has flaws, everyone's done something I'm sure they're not proud of. Not all of us have, bombed people through the mail.
Just a few.
There's a first time for everything. Oh yeah, speaking of, I do have some bombs with me, but
yeah, you were telling me you brought me something, and you have to give me that later in the show.
No, so, but I kept thinking, like, I wonder if I just, like, presented pieces of this to somebody, not telling them who wrote it, if they would perceive it differently than if they knew who wrote it. But I think they would. And I was trying to look at it objectively, unbiased, with, at face value. I was trying to. And I was surprised by how much I agreed with a lot of the things.
How'd that make you feel?
I was questioning. I'm like, am I a little crazy? Maybe I'm a little crazy too.
Domestic terrorist.
Maybe. I don't want to hurt people. That's one thing I don't think so. I think he asked a lot of really great questions. I don't think his solutions were the most productive, were the most helpful.
You don't think we should destroy the entire planet?
I think that's where he falls short. I feel like, his viewpoints, I actually agree with some of them, but he also had kind of a pessimistic outlook. And he didn't offer any solutions that were positive. It was more like, no, we just have to overthrow everything. But he also didn't ignore that, you know, the Industrial Revolution also sparked good things too. I mean, but he was more focused on like, you know, people losing their autonomy and their dignity.
Yeah.
But then I also ask, okay, well, what is dignity? I mean, who defines what dignity is? Like what
Webster's dictionary.
and then autonomy. I mean, it also raises a lot of questions about what is autonomy? What is freedom? Do we have free will? And that's another philosophical debate that I like talking about. I think it's interesting, you know.
Yeah, so all of this stuff is in everything we see in society, I think, is related to a lot of what he talks about in that work. And so we have a couple of comments in the chat. Uncle Ted's Manifesto is a must read.
Yes.
My gut told me he was correct even back then. His tactics were certainly questionable, but his reasoning was sound. So people echoing similar sentiment there. I want you to ask me questions too. I want you to give you the opportunity to do that. So I don't want to keep going on with the questions. But the discussion you're having, like, I think it's relevant to society, and I think that we can acknowledge what was good and not feel like we're domestic terrorists or wrong for doing it.
Right. I don't know. I don't think we should feel guilty just because we might agree with some of the things. And a lot of what he was saying, I mean, it felt like he was a precog or something. It felt like a premonition. I mean, he was like forecasting. Like a lot of what he said came true in some ways, you know.
Like what?
In some ways. Like as far as like technology being technology determining how people view everything. I mean, technology is simply what determinism is. Nowadays, people live their lives so wrapped around technology, and we let technology influence us to such a degree that we've forgotten how to think for ourselves, because we're so dependent on technology for so many things.
Right.
Every job now, not every job, but most jobs are dependent on technology. And we have to adapt to the machines. It's like the machines don't necessarily adapt to us. I mean, there's always exceptions, but like I kind of agree with what he was saying in that regard, that that like we adapt to the machines, and so it's like a slow, gradual process of our losing our sense of critical thinking and socialization, especially. I think is becoming. I really appreciated what he said about like surrogate activities. Yeah, and I started questioning. Okay, am I involved with surrogate activities? Because I agree with what he talks about. You know, the power process. How what motivates us is we want to have a purpose. You know, we want to have a reason to get up in the morning. I think Nietzsche said something to the effect of, he who understands why to live has everything, or something like that. But we all want to have a purpose, right?
Right. It's something, like you said, you get up in the morning, you have something to do, and something to do that feels right and fulfilling. And I thought that was interesting. This is the first time I've read his manifesto in a long time. And that process of the activities you're doing and the connection to real purpose versus the connection to artificial purpose.
Yeah, and that's what I started thinking about, because what's the difference? So he outlines kind of like these key concepts of like, okay, we want purpose. So that requires a goal, effort, attainment, and autonomy. Yeah, I think those are the four.
Yeah, I think so.
The four things.
No, it's good off the top of your head. Yeah, I think that's it.
And that's my book report.
Yeah, we're working with no notes here, so we're going off the top of the dome. I think we nailed it.
So I have a whole book report, but anyway, and I do agree with that to an extent, because our lives feel purposeless when we don't have something we're working towards, when we don't have goals. We were joking around earlier about like rich people. You know, if you're born into a life of privilege where everything comes easy and you
Right.
don't actually have to work for
Or a
money.
life of trauma, as Gavin Newsom calls
As
it.
Gavin Newsom would say. I mean, but if you don't have to work for money, money doesn't feel as valuable. If you don't have to work
Absolutely.
for something, that thing
Yeah.
doesn't feel as rewarding.
No, it's meaningless so there was the story about the Democrats leaning in, the presidential hopefuls leaning into their trauma as a way to connect with their audiences. And one of them, other than Gavin Newsom, I think it was J.B. Pritzker, maybe. And the story was he's now finally opening up about how his mom died when he was like 7 and his dad when he was like 17. And then it does a quick aside, you know, to which he then inherited their $1 billion fortune. And this is his way to connect with blacks, with minorities. And I'm like, well, I think that when their parents weren't around, yes, it's very dramatic. I think maybe they went into foster home, got separated from their siblings, and had to struggle. I don't think they had $1 billion fortune. This is so out of touch.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's go ahead. I just
He's reaching for straws. I
Totally.
mean, that's so like he's reaching for anything to make himself seem relatable. Like, I suffered. My parents fought. My parents like had arguments. Oh, because
Which you're right. Never had to worry about money. And the people you're appealing to absolutely struggled to pay the bills for their entire life.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of agree with what he's saying when he's talking about the power process. You know, I think that like he's kind of on track there. And then, but when it comes to him talking about like, okay, a surrogate activity versus like real meaning, that's where I kind of question, okay, what is a surrogate activity? But then I started thinking about all these like jobs that we don't really need to survive. Like for instance, like waiting tables might be viewed as a surrogate job, right? Why do we have to go to a restaurant? Why do we have to go to a restaurant to sit there and have someone serve us our food? Like that sort of feels like a surrogate job.
I always snap at them.
Yeah, I've waited. I've worked in so many serving jobs in my days on this earth, and the snapping of fingers is
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it's always
welcomed, right?
It's always puts a smile on my face.
No spit in your food will ever happen. But so that's a surrogate job in the way that
there's no real need for it. It doesn't solve a problem. It doesn't serve any real.
Get your own fucking food.
It doesn't serve any real good purpose. So that's kind of what I think of when I think of like modern day examples of like surrogate jobs. And I was trying to question like just some of the jobs I work are those like, and I think in some ways yes, and
you're
no.
Tell people what so you're a yoga teacher, you're an actress, you're many things.
Yeah, I teach yoga, I teach Pilates, I teach fitness. I'm a personal trainer. I'm also a health coach, and I teach nutrition. I do nutrition consulting through Kaiser Permanente and on my own. And I also am an actress. I also teach ballet to kids. Yeah, I'm an actor, writer, producer.
You're
director,
Jane of all trades, is what you are, and
wannabe comedian.
So what you do, I think that it can be a surrogate activity, and it cannot be a surrogate activity depending on what the motivations are.
Mm-hmm.
For people who are pursuing fame, then it's absolutely a surrogate activity because there's no level of fame that's ever going to be enough, and it's always going to be I want more. I'm going to compare myself to others. If you're doing it for the fulfillment and the enjoyment of doing it, which from what I know of you, that's what you do it for. Then I think
not always, but yeah.
I
do it for other reasons too.
Financial, it pays the bills and stuff like that. No, yeah, but I think it depends on the internal motivation for people, and
I think that's key, like the internal motivation. And I think you can you can make those decisions for yourself, like what your motivation is for working the job. I think if you're just working a job as a means to an end, like For instance, grocery store clerks, like bagging groceries, like that's another kind of like surrogate job. Sales jobs. I used to work in sales. And I feel like that is very much kind of a surrogate activity. I think a lot of the things that we buy, so it kind of reminds me of that quote from Fight Club. Have you seen Fight Club?
I've never heard of it.
You're joking. Okay. How many times have you seen it? Once?
I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it like on TBS a couple times, but I've seen it once.
Oh,
and
TBS. Does
It's,
TBS
it's like censored.
Wait,
Remember,
does TBS still exist?
no, I've just revealed my age. Used to watch the Braves on TBS also.
Does it still exist? I don't have cable, so I don't even
I don't
know.
know. I have no
Honestly,
idea.
I have no idea. So there's a quote from Fight Club that's like, I'm probably going to misquote it to an extent, but it's like, we are a nation waiting tables, working bullshit jobs to buy shit we don't need.
Yep.
And that's kind of it. Like when I was going through the manifesto, I thought about that because there's so many jobs out there that aren't really serving a good purpose. That we don't really need them.
It's cog in the machine stuff, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And the stuff that we buy, we don't need.
And that's that's what keeps us on the hook too, because it's a constant ambush of these advertisements convincing us that we need these things that we never even knew existed before. Mm-hmm. And he mentions that briefly, and that's an Edward Bernays. He used to talk about in his books 100 years ago, creating desire and setting up society to where people, the example he gives is, if you want to sell pianos, you don't say, hey, buy this piano. You create a culture where a piano room is standardized. And so therefore you have to buy a piano to fill that room up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like standardized. And then it becomes a status thing. Like the things that you buy raise your social status. Social status is very much an illusion that we all buy into. Like we feel important if we have some fancy car, some fancy house, or like certain types of clothes, like my Lululemon yoga pants. I'm just kidding. I don't.
Fancy.
I refuse to spend hundreds of dollars on yoga pants. No offense if you're into Lululemon.
I don't wear clothes under $150.
I just don't think we should have to wear clothes, period. I mean,
Back to nature completely. Uncle Ted would approve.
I know. But that's kind of where I draw the line. I do, it's like, is that radical to think? Because I do sometimes think, okay, why do we have to be civilized? Like what is it and what is progress? I think about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, okay? Once we have our basic needs met, like food, shelter, safety, and then we have like those higher levels of brain functioning,
When we get in trouble.
Self-actualization. We have the type of brain that's aware, that's self-aware.
Because of Eve.
Stupid slut.
That bitch. Yeah,
it's all her fault.
Yeah.
But
so I think I love the conversation about this is super interesting. What I want to ask you is, if we were on your show and I was a guest, what would you ask me?
Well, I would just kind of read like a quote and then like you tell me what you think about it.
Okay.
Because typically what I do on my little Wonder and Whimsy podcast, which I don't think we ever connected it, but that's okay.
Yeah, I know. I just realized I didn't connect it. We can stream it later. Yeah, sorry about that.
But it's all about like inspiring people to read literature, fiction, nonfiction, just to read things instead of staring at a screen. It's actually not healthy to stare at. I know you're probably staring at a screen. You're watching us now. But what we're
only time it's healthy.
This is the only time it's healthy to do that.
That's why I liked your podcast, though, because I oftentimes I'll say on my show, I'm like, look, go outside, don't watch my show. I know this is how I make money, and this is adverse to me, but yeah, get off the internet for a little while because it's not always good for you. But what you guys talk about is things that people don't often do. Is you have to read and you discuss things that people don't reflect much anymore, because reflection makes you feel bad sometimes, because you have to examine your own issues and examine how you're dealing with things. And I think philosophical stuff can highlight that. And I also think that people aren't even aware of some of this. Like some of the stuff you guys talk about in your show, the quotes you read, I'd never heard of them. And they struck me because of the way they made me feel. And that's why I wanted to throw it to you to kind of tell them what you do. And even if you don't have direct quotes, if you wanted to demonstrate some of that, we can do some of that.
Yeah, I mean, so Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living.
Who?
Socrates.
Yeah, right.
Socrates.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I tend to think that the unexamined life is not necessarily worth living if you are just a cog in a machine, like Uncle Ted says. You know, if you're just sort of blindly allowing technology to dictate your choices, and you're just whatever you're born into, you know, if you don't ever stop and ask questions and examine your life. So I do agree with Socrates to an extent. However, I also feel, just to play the devil's advocate, that the over-examined life is not worth living either. So I try to kind of, because if you're overly examining things all the time, it can put you in a place of you're not
crippling
just
awareness,
experiencing.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a part of our brain that's the experiential self. But if you're over analyzing, you're not fully surrendering to the present moment and just enjoying the moment for what it is without trying to analyze it and label it and box it into something, just like appreciating the moment. So I try to live my life as in, you know, take time to reflect and examine your life and think about your choices. But also on the flip side, take time to just be present without overly analyzing. So yeah, the unexamined life isn't worth living, and I also think the over-examined life is not worth
because you can only examine to a certain extent to where it's beneficial. You learn from an experience, you use what you learn, you absorb it and you apply it for the future. Anything else to dwell on things is just going to keep you in anxiety and negative and self-conscious and down on yourself, I think.
Well, also, if you're overly analyzing, which I think might have been kind of Uncle Ted's issue, was, you know, he wasn't enjoying life. I don't know. I mean, maybe he was enjoying the experience.
Seemed like a happy kid.
Poor Ted. His psychology is really fascinating to me. How he, all those Harvard experiments, you know, like the. I'm curious to know more about that because I just read his manifesto. So I don't know all the details about those experiments, but I'm sure that has something to do with how he arrived.
Oh, so he would deny it, but I would say, my opinion, absolutely. You want? I'll tell you about that. Yeah. And while I'm doing that, if you have anything you want to pull up to
just
throw
at me.
To throw at you. Yeah, to toss over this way.
I'd love to throw at you. I have this like bomb.
Yeah, you gotta.
You mean like a quote?
Yeah, quotes or anything you want to put out there. But here, so a little bit about his background. I am going to read from my notes on
you go for it.
My phone here. He was accepted to Harvard when he was 16 years old, and he was put in this experiment, which was, what was the guy's name who did it? It was the same guy who did the MK Ultra experiments, and he worked for the OSS which predated the CIA during World War II, and he just continued to conduct the same experiments on people after he got out of the government and he got a job at Harvard. Mm-hmm. So that's why the question, was it MK Ultra, was it not, is irrelevant because it's the same experiment done by the same guy, just in a private industry capacity, sort of. Versus a government capacity. Yeah. And these experiments were to test psychological torture, basically. And from my understanding, one of the things they would do is they would get these young students like Kaczynski to write down all their fantasies and all these things that they would never want other people to know because they could be ridiculed about. And then they would give these writings to law students, and they would bring these law students in for the purpose of having them ridicule them to the point of just psychologically torturing them. And they would do that. I think he did it for a couple of years. They tortured them to discover the extent of psychological torture that an individual could deal with. Yeah. And
like to test a person's resilience.
Right.
To test how resilient is the human brain. Which is like a very traumatic way to test that. I don't think that's a very effective way of testing it either.
It's, I mean, it's
Wait, what
all,
do you think? Do you think that's an effective way of testing resilience?
I mean, wish I could have gone through that just to really strengthen myself. No, I think it's people bringing these. He got in as a young kid. He skipped 2 grades.
He was
He
16, right?
he had
When he,
yeah 16.
yeah.
He had a lot of trauma as a kid. So and I'm sure they knew this. So when he was when he was 6 to 9 years old, he had an allergic reaction that put him in the hospital for weeks, and he was restricted. His parents weren't allowed to see him all that often. They could only see him a little. So just kind of like COVID, he was isolated.
Yeah.
And his
And those
mom,
are pivotal years.
right? I mean, when you're 6 to 9 months years old, your entire personality is being formed.
Well, some might argue, psychologists might argue that your entire personality is formed by the age of 2, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And his parents are not able to go see. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of weird to me. I do want to
Yeah.
know more about some of you guys in the chats might know more about this than I do. But his mom believed that it caused like lasting separation anxiety. And apparently the family kept a photo of him strapped down onto an exam table.
A
And his-
photo of him. The
That's a
photo was
weird-
strapped down?
Yeah, they had the photo strapped
Wait, that
down.
doesn't make sense.
Ted, look at this photo
That
strapped down.
makes no sense.
No, that photo of him strapped down, which is that's kind of I don't know all the details of this aspect of it, but that's a weird thing for your mom. Hey, remember when you were strapped down when you were 6 to 9 months not years old, and your eyes were crossed in this photo apparently? It's a very strange thing. And so then he had a trans face.
I remember hearing about this. Yeah, he wanted to become a woman,
Right.
but but it's interesting because there was like a phase where he wanted to become a woman, but he criticizes like leftists.
He goes hard against leftists.
So hard against the leftists.
He goes hard against people in his same industry. People who were scientists, people who maybe some of them deserve to be go hard after, but like one person that people don't realize was on his hit list, according to the FBI, when they arrested him in that cabin, is somebody that became a very popular name around the time of COVID. He died shortly before COVID. It was Kerry Mullis, the inventor of the mRNA thing, who famously called out Dr. Fauci, said Dr. Fauci wouldn't know anything about this shit. And then he dies right before it. And so he kind of was a hero for a lot of people who were questioning the jab. I played his clip all the time. I had no idea until we were talking about it, and I looked it up. I was like, who was on his hit list? And Kerry Mullis is one of the guys that he was going to send a package to.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting. That it seems to me, the psychology, that he had some weird experiences as a kid. He kind of antisocial, very smart. People didn't understand him. He didn't relate to people. And then he goes and he's chosen probably because of his level of intelligence and vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because of his antisocial nature, being broken down. And he's just, as a 16-year-old, has his entire, self-worth destroyed. But he's also very smart. And so then he goes on some sort of revenge tour later in life, targeting the very people that kind of broke him down. And he says it had nothing to do with that. I don't believe that for a second.
I don't know. I mean, it is interesting because he also became a math professor. He was teaching math at Berkeley.
Berkeley, that's right.
And then I know he got like criticized by his methods because he was just like going by the book.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just interesting. So after he left his job teaching, that's when he like became reclusive and went to a cabin in Montana, right?
Mm-hmm.
And wrote the manifesto and all of that. And yeah, I was thinking of, have you heard of the book Into the Wild?
Mm-mm.
It's like a similar concept. They made a movie out of it too. It's actually an interesting movie. Comment if you are familiar with Into the Wild. I'm curious.
Is this the guy that went into the bus, went into the woods, and
he was kind of like similar. Like he wanted to reject. He's very smart.
Yeah.
He wanted to reject society and just like live in the woods.
Mm.
But then I think there's a valuable lesson in both of those stories, like what happened to Ted and what happened to this guy who went into the woods. he ate poisonous berries,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah,
then
that's right.
and then died. And so it's just kind of like, you know, I tend to think that I understand why like people might hate a lot of things about society, the structure, the lack of freedom you might feel at times when it seems like we're trapped in this economy, especially this like illusion of chasing money to buy stuff we don't need because you know, all this propaganda telling us this is what it takes to be happy. We have to buy stuff and then we'll be happy. Yeah, so it's like we feel kind of like trapped in this. I understand why someone might want to leave society, but I question, is it healthier to just sort of play by society's rules to an extent, but also like find a little freedom within that, like kind of finding a way to kind of find freedom within the system,
Right.
create your own code of ethics that isn't gonna that still like might look like you're playing by everyone else's rules, but secretly playing by your own kind of thing.
Yeah,
I feel like that's kind of a healthier approach to mitigating this like
doesn't have to be either or.
yeah, you can do both. Like that's the thing. It's like you don't have to kind of be a recluse. There's ways of finding freedom, at least within your own mind. And that's kind of what I teach is like I teach finding freedom within.
Yeah, no, I think that like that to me, I was never into any of that shit until I started doing improv, and then I started to love it.
Yeah.
Because it would help me get focused. It would help me, you know, block my day out, and it helped me perform better when I was doing shows. And looking at Into the Wild guy and Ted Kaczynski, it feels to me like there was a lot of anger and hatred towards what he felt caused him to be the way that he is. And he probably needed to get laid. He was probably a virgin, honestly. Kind of one of the original incels. And there was just this anger. And, you know, these experiments done on him were terrible. And he then seemed to go on this rage against, I want to destroy everything that I blame my sadness or how I feel about myself on. And that led to like, not that I agree with a lot of his diagnoses, like you said, about the ills of society, especially the progressive shit. Totally. Like he nails the whole idea of why people protest all the time. 100%. He nails that. But the solution, we don't need to destroy everything. You can kind of, you can teach people, it doesn't have to be either. You can teach people through homeschooling or whatever to live off the land. You can teach people to have this ability to go through that power process where they can use technology without having to rely on it if the grid collapses. But his solution seems to be, let's blow it all up. And then that makes me wonder if, let's say, his solution came to fruition. Has that not already come to fruition a whole bunch of times? Is that not an explanation for all of the ancient technology that seems to be advanced that is often discovered? Because you would have to kill everyone who knew anything about how to create new technology with his solution. They have to be dead, and you have to bury all of history. Some people would have to have access to it, but I don't know. That makes me think about, like, have we done this over and over again?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you would have to kill a lot of people. To start over and hit the reset button.
Yeah,
and
right.
But it's also like, you know, he thinks technology is the root of all evil. I don't necessarily agree. I think that if you use technology as a tool as opposed to a substitute for human behavior, I think that technology, I mean, embracing technology without becoming consumed by it is possible. You know, like someone like Pinker, like Steven Pinker, like he thinks that technology, because of technology, we've advanced so much in terms of science and health, and which is true. I mean, you have to give some credit to what technology has done. So I disagree that technology is the root of all evil. I just think it's important for us, and this is what I teach. I teach mindfulness. Checking yourself, and being mindful about the effect technology is having over your nervous system, over your mind, over your body. Your relationship with technology is something you can control. You can control it. So you can actually decide if you're going to adapt to technology or if you're going to tell technology who's boss.
Right.
And you're going to make technology your...
It's your bitch instead of you being its bitch.
Is technology going to work for you, or are you going to... So
I mean, we're all going to be confronted with that very soon if we haven't been already. And that would seem to me what most people I know who are very pro Kaczynski, they're individualistic mentality would be is that it's up to the individual. Nobody is really stopping you from going to do the things that Ted says we need to get back to, the nature we get back to. Some would argue that the government doesn't want you to do that, and that might be true. But I know plenty of people who have taken their kids out of schools, who have moved to farms, and who can live off the land tomorrow if the grid is shut off. And so that can happen. It feels like Ted went a little overboard, I think. And so there was a quote that he said, I don't remember what exactly it is, but basically he's talking about how you can only get attention to subjects and ideas with big money and in the corporate mainstream stuff, and that's not untrue. But then he said that's why we had to kill people in order to get attention to his manifesto, which that was the deal, as he said he would stop sending bombs if the New York Post and Washington Post published it, and they did. And I just thought he just started with the guerrilla marketing campaign there. Very explosive. It worked, I guess. But he admits there that in this that he never tried any of the other stuff. He never. So there's a book that he based many of his ideas on by Jacques Ellul.
Oh yeah, yeah. So much of Ellul is exactly echoing like Ted is basically like echoing everything Ellul said.
Yep.
That, 100%.
That's one of his inspirations for it. And he writes very detailed and can be hard to read, but he's also a lot more lighthearted about things than Kaczynski's. Kaczynski's not really a laugh. He's
not quite as dark.
Not doing any open mic nights with Kaczynski. But the admission that, and this is part of the reason that even though I agree with a lot of this stuff, I have to say I'm going to take a step back because that shows the extremes that he went to and how he jumps to conclusions. Because Ellul's book is pretty popular and people know who he is. Yeah. And maybe he had a more prominence in society, but Kaczynski went to Harvard. He was a 16-year-old. He skipped grades. He had all the opportunity in the world to, although he did get MK Ultra. I'm can't fault him for that. But it wasn't like he was somebody who was living in the ghettos of New York who couldn't get any attention to anything. He just didn't try. He just said, I don't think anybody's going to like this shit. We better start blowing shit up.
Yeah, that's not the only, blowing stuff up isn't the only way.
Right.
It's not the only path. He could have just tried to write the manuscript and publish it without blowing
that's
up.
right. I was under the impression that he tried to get attention to it and failed a bunch of times, but he didn't even try until this. And so that's why when people get too Uncle Teddy, like his ideas, but he's not the end all be all just because we agree with his diagnosis of the technocratic state. Yeah. His answers aren't necessarily correct.
Yeah, I think he raised a lot of good questions, but the solutions, it's not really fair solutions, in my opinion.
And so what's interesting to that kind of stuff is if you play out, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, what would have to happen for his solution to come to fruition? It's literally the destruction of the planet.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, how many people would you have to kill? How many, what would you have to destroy? I mean, it's kind of like, could we even destroy technology at this point?
Right. Like, what benefit are you going to get out of it?
And I mean, there's got to be a better way. You know, there's got to be a better way than just like blowing.
He's like, no, there's not.
Blowing thing. Like, did you see that movie? The one with like Leonardo DiCaprio. The one that got all this like
Where he was a protester.
critical acclaim. Yeah, what
I
is
haven't
it
seen it. I've heard
called?
about it.
So it's like the revolutionaries in that movie are basically like Uncle Ted. They think that the solution is blowing up buildings and killing innocent people, which is silly. That doesn't solve anything.
They're not innocent.
No. Some of them are.
Yeah.
When you blow buildings up, how do you know who's going to be affected
He
by
killed
that?
somebody that he got information from like a newsletter.
Well, he was specific. Like, he was very specific about who he targeted.
But one of the people that he ended up killing, he thought was involved with something that they weren't because of information that he got from a newsletter that was false. So he got a little propaganda, ended up sending a bomb. I can't remember what the guy's name was, and killed somebody that it turns out
It's innocent.
wasn't actually involved in what he thought it was. He never apologized for it. You know, his brother turned him in too.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that his family just turned him in because he had like a sister too, right? And yeah.
It was like the first like FBI linguistic analysis system that they used. It was very interesting the way they looked at it because he spoke in a specific way that his brother recognized. And then they did. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine if he had used ChatGPT to write it. Like now, nobody would
be
have
arrested.
He would have never gotten discovered.
That's true. That's a way you can you can mask it with. See, he didn't even realize technology could have helped him get away with it.
Yeah.
He just died a couple years ago.
I know, not that long ago. Well, not a couple, like in 2025 or 2023.
Yeah, he killed him. He Epsteined himself.
He killed himself.
Yeah. He actually did kill himself.
Do you think he really killed him? Is there like a theory that he did?
I think Epstein killed him.
Are there any like theories out there that he's not really dead? I haven't heard.
I haven't heard any. That I'd be interested though. I'd love a new conspiracy.
Yeah.
Right now, because a lot of the old ones are just getting recycled.
I think he was like 81, and then he
was
finally.
He was young.
No, I think he was 81.
Yeah, and he hung himself.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you might think that's young.
Right, which is kind of a back to nature way to kill yourself too. Didn't even kill himself with technology.
Right.
Yeah, didn't use a gun. He just.
Yeah. But to your point, I do think that what he was right about is that if we get too consumed with technology, and if we allow technology to make our choices for us, that's when it becomes dangerous. And whenever, I mean, I can only speak from my own experience, but whenever I do gardening, like I have friends that have gardens and farms up in Hiram, and whenever I visit and like help them out, there's something that like feels so like rewarding because I think that that's like in our biology almost. It's like it's like we're hardwired to want to do to want to do those things.
I mean, you hug trees too. You ground.
I do hug trees. I literally,
like very literally.
I literally do. Yes, I admit I'm a tree hugger.
But for a reason,
That's
though.
As far as it goes, though. Just hugging, no kissing, okay?
You're not in a
hugging,
relationship with a tree.
Snugging.
It's platonymous.
I mean, I like to think that it's talking to me and that I can, like, hear its thoughts, like, and channel. No, I don't go that far. But
trees are fascinating. Actually.
Yeah, but have you ever hugged a tree?
I don't talk about what I do with trees.
Have you hugged a tree?
Not like you have. I've touched a tree. I think trees are very interesting.
Have you ever wrapped your arms?
Only my legs.
Only your legs. Well, that counts.
Yeah. No, like, I don't think I've ever officially hugged a tree.
Have you had skin to bark contact?
I always use protection.
It's probably for the best. It's the responsible thing to do.
I will now, though, after seeing, and you had an explanation for it. It's similar to the grounding.
So whenever you're hugging a tree, so trees release a chemical called phytoncin. If I'm pronouncing it right, probably not. Phytoncin. I think that's how you say it. Phytoncin. And it basically releases a chemical. It can actually help your immune system. Studies show. If you disagree with me, feel free to say I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But look up phytoncin. Trees release it. So when you're hugging a tree, that chemical helps your immune system. But just being out in nature, there's been a lot of studies. When you're out in nature, it has an effect on your nervous system.
Mhm.
So it helps put your brain out of fight and flight mode into rest, digest, and repair mode. That's why when you're out in nature, you feel a little more calmer. You feel a little more
Unburdened.
relaxed, unburdened. And then putting your feet on the ground. I mean, there's different studies that talk about how it can balance the positive and negative ions around you and reduce inflammation, reduce free radicals, all that stuff, grounding. And it feels nice. I always, it puts me in a good mood. Like whenever I go outside, I try to do this every day. So I'm like confessions of a hippie. So
Yeah. We're
at
talking Uncle Ted. We're transitioned into, we're talking about back to nature and what Uncle Ted should have included, which is these studies that actually show the benefits of
the actual scientific health benefits. Because he instead of just focusing on what he doesn't like, he never talked about like, okay, flipping it to a positive. Like, okay, so for me, what I take from Uncle Ted is that disconnecting from technology from time to time is healthy. Putting your feet on the ground, it can change your energy. Your energy can shift. And
I wish he would have spent more on time on that. Like, so he was very much, we need to destroy the problem, which he was right about a lot of the problem, but it was just, well, I don't really have a solution. Because he even admitted, he says, when you want to start a revolution, you have to highlight the problem, but then you have to offer a positive thing that you're going after. He says, I can't really offer that other than just going back to nature, when there's actually many benefits that you could argue why you should go back to nature, which you're highlighting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, growing your own food, like there's something very rewarding about that when you know what's in it. You know that it's not like the government putting crap in it because you've grown it yourself. So you know it doesn't have, if you grow it organically and you're careful about the seeds that you use in the soil. So many of us are not getting the top soil nutrients we need. And that's why we have all these crazy new diseases, because we're all malnourished. It's so hard to nourish ourselves the way we're supposed to if we were growing our own food and we knew how to do that safely and in the healthiest way, which I have friends that know how to do those things.
They're definitely on a government list.
Hopefully they're not on a list. Hopefully the government's not after them. I hope not. Although something did happen to one of my friends. No, I know.
But what happened to them?
He died mysteriously.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, drowning, and
in Obama's pool.
No, he was a surfer. Like he would.
Are you being serious?
I'm serious.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'd rather laugh about it than cry about it.
Right. I thought you were kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
Right.
But I mean, that really happened. But who knows? But nobody knows how. Nobody knows why he died. I don't know why he died. He taught surfing lessons. We're getting really off track. Like a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. He used to teach surfing. He taught me a lot of the gardening skills that I have. He drowned, and he's not somebody that you would ever think would drown because he was like a surfer. He like lived on the lake and like nobody knows how he drowned or
was
why.
Was it in a lake?
It was in a Lake Raven.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mysterious. That just reminded me of it. Hopefully it wasn't the government. Like,
I hope not.
Hopefully he's in a happier place somehow. Maybe
it's a whole subject for another conversation at some point in time.
But yeah, so that's one of the issues I had with the manifesto too, is that it was just like, okay, I get what you don't like, but what's something positive?
So what would you take away that's positive that you could use in your life that other people could use? And as opposed, that's not let's tear down the structure, which is, I totally see that argument. And in a lot of ways, I advocate for certain aspects of that, but I also don't advocate for black pilling, which the TED can be a little bit of a black pillar.
Right.
I think that taking useful things and that's good. I'm going to use that and I'm going to use it for good. What do you take away like that?
Well, what do you take away? I've been talking a lot. What do you take away?
I take away, it echoes some of what you're saying in that the recognition of, I think you said this in a different way earlier. It's the recognition of the control that has been exerted over us through technology. And it does take away a lot of your freedoms, depending on what your definition of that is, and privacy. and it is offered to you as convenience, that seems like freedom at the time, which he talked about, by recognizing that in the way that he illustrates it, and I think he does paint the picture very well. I think that enables people to come out of the cave a little bit and step back and say, I'm going to turn my phone off for a couple days a week. I'm going to go hug a tree for a couple days a week. I'm going to go embrace what seems natural or what is natural and feels natural, because it definitely feels so good to go outside and just kind of get away from everything for a little while. People who are trying to like, that does argue, that doesn't do anything to ground or do whatever. Well, I mean, what that seems like a weird thing to argue for, just because they don't see a study.
There are studies, though.
I know.
There's plenty of
It's a bullshit study. I don't believe
science.
science. I get it. But yeah, it just, we come from nature and we're becoming cyborgs, and there are benefits to it. But also, it's just, there's definitely benefits to going out and getting some sun, to going out and interacting with people. And that's what I would take away from it.
Yeah, vitamin D. And, you know, growing your own food, it's actually not that hard. I mean, it takes work, but that's why it's rewarding. And I think that's
the power process.
Is and there's like that immediate, because like that's like the basic need that you're fulfilling.
Touch grass has frightened
so
me.
Ted would not consider gardening like a surrogate activity. Yes, touch grass, as the kids say.
Did Ted even know how to garden, I wonder? Probably, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. He was a little. He was a little too bitter, in my opinion, to be clear when it comes to solutions. And some people get mad at me about that because they like his anger towards the technocratic state.
Yeah.
And the control of AI. There was a quote he talked about how what happens when AI can do everything, or he didn't say AI, but what happens when computers can do everything people can do, and what are people going to do? And then that's when we become subject to their system instead of us exerting control over reality. And so therefore, we have to destroy all technology around the world. And we have to do it and then he starts advocating for a propaganda campaign. Which is the very thing he was kind of railing against. Is we need to find smart people, like he was talking about himself, who you can just be truthful with and measured with.
Yeah.
Who you never lie to. And then we gotta dumb down the message for the masses, and we gotta convince them that it's us versus the powerful people who would have you be absorbed by technology, not us versus the blacks or the women or any identity politics. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty obvious stuff, basic marketing. And it's just, let me get some details of that. I was reading it again. I read it first like 10 years ago. I was honestly a little disappointed. Maybe it's because a lot of people I know kind of hype him up a little bit. But I was a little disappointed in the lack of intellectual nature that some of his solutions involved.
Well, I also thought it was interesting how much of what he was saying echoed Jacques Ellul.
So have you read Jacques?
A little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
You're
but
right.
I know enough about him to know that it was very much. So I wonder, I'm not saying he was like copying, but it's not like he was saying anything that original. It's just his solution was the whole blowing people up. That was original.
Right.
But I also wonder if part of his motivation was from a psychological need to feel important, to feel like his life matters, because it doesn't sound like he was able to like have any like fulfilling relationships.
He'd probably been felt rejected. Yeah. He probably felt small. He probably felt kicked, even though he was very smart at every level of his life. He didn't get along with people because he was weird. If you're 16 years old going to college, you're not socially adjusted at all to that. And
I just want to give him a hug, like reading it.
He's probably very tense.
Like reading that, I was like, I wonder if if somebody could just give him a hug, like, would that change anything? Would that change his perspective at all?
I do. Like, I wonder, he probably, we're joking, but
No, I'm serious.
the amount of hugs he probably had in his life, especially once he became an adult, were minimal. How many years was he doing this? He was sending bombs for a long time.
But I mean, going back to like his history though, like he was actually physically separated from his parents for a while at a very young, pivotal age. He didn't have that physical. You need that oxytocin.
Absolutely.
You need that like physical connection with your parents for health, for mental health. But I mean, it's all connected. But yeah, so I wonder if, you know, it kind of once you think about like his whole life, it kind of makes sense. I actually like feel for him, you know, like I have like compassion for him. Like I just want to give him a hug.
Yeah, so I agree. I think I think he's an example of I think he is the shining example of what's been broken by the very system that he diagnoses as the problem.
Yeah.
I think that's why he does it. And I think that his anger calls him to jump to those solutions that don't even think, maybe I just need to get a hug first before I say let's bomb everybody.
Yeah.
And he even admitted in some of his early writings that some of what he was doing, because they found all these writings in his cabin, was based on revenge. Even though he later says that it wasn't. He just wanted to
do good.
Get back to nature.
Yeah,
No, it seems very clearly motivated by revenge to me. So I have a few like fun stuff and fun questions, but I do want to, again, what would you ask me about? I've been asking you questions, everything. What would you say?
Well, I would just read. I would be curious if we read like a short like part of it, and then you can.
We'll do that. Pull that up.
You think?
Pull
up one of yours.
Pull that up, and we'll talk about it, because I really like how you do that on your show. You dissect. You get kind of in the weeds on some of the quotes and analyze it. And people listen to the show know that I love that.
Yeah, I mean, part of what I like to do is just kind of like analyze language, and language can be limited in what we can understand. But I also like to think about who said this and why they said it, and how we can apply it maybe to our life. Is it useful? Is it not useful? Just kind of ask those questions. So I'll just read this one. Take us, for example, if we had never done anything violent and had simply sent the present writings to a publisher, they probably would have not been accepted. If they had been accepted and published, they probably would not have attracted many readers. So this is like what you were saying.
Yeah, it's so revealing too. Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's more fun to watch the entertainment put out by the media than read a sober essay. So, yeah.
He didn't even get canceled.
He didn't even...
I've been canceled. I've been kicked off the radio. I've had my website taken down. He didn't even get canceled before he went to the bombs.
Yeah. I mean, he even if these writings had many readers, most of these readers would soon have forgotten what they had read, as their minds were flooded by the mass of material to which the media exposed them. In order to get our message before the public with some chance of making a lasting impression, we've had to kill people. Okay, so I mean that relates to what you were talking about before. It's like the only way is to kill people.
Does it contradict itself within that statement?
Yeah, it's definitely contradicting. But it is interesting the way that he talks about what he says. Most of these readers would soon have forgotten what they had read, as their minds were flooded by the massive material to which the media exposed them. It's interesting that he says that in what, 1995?
I think he wrote it years earlier.
Did he write it before?
I think he wrote
then?
it like in the late 70s, and he ended up releasing it in the 90s.
Yeah, so like if he's writing this in the 70s, but it sounds like he's talking about modern life. That's what I found interesting as I was reading it. It was like, this sounds like modern life.
Yeah, I mean, you can see people falling into what he describes being completely controlled by technology and the media. But also this idea that people will be flooded with information that the media is going to control, and then the only way we can get the message out is to kill people, so the media will post it. So aren't you just giving it to the same people who you said are going to flood people and make it confusing for them?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, so because what he's saying is, because people died, that's the only thing that's going to get attention. someone dying, because otherwise people might just read it and discard it.
That's the message. Kill people for I mean, seriously. That's like he's trying to give this explanation for why people who agree with him need to just start by killing people to get their message across. And that's how you would start a revolution.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do something to get attention. But
He could have streaked across a sporting event.
But I mean, there are, yeah, like there are other ways of getting attention. Like you said, just post nudes.
Right. But, you know, if only there was OnlyFans, he would have embraced technology.
But you don't have to resort to violence to get attention. But I think if you write something and your message is poignant enough and powerful enough, people are going to pay attention because it speaks to people. He's not giving people the credit they deserve.
That's exactly right.
For like, not everyone is completely just like brainwashed by the media.
Yeah.
But I do agree that we're getting closer and closer to that without necessarily realizing it. If we don't stop and take the time to do the Socrates thing and examine our life and reflect and ask ourselves, do I have a healthy relationship with technology? I think we should always ask ourselves that. Do I have a healthy relationship?
Yeah.
Or am I relying too much on technology to do things? Is it helpful to my brain or is it hurting my brain? Is it good for my emotions or is it stressing my nervous system? You know, is it productive? Like the things that I use technology for, is it actually productive? Is it serving a good purpose?
Right.
Those are if we just ask ourselves those questions, then we can make conscious choices and develop a healthy relationship with technology.
And I think we know when we have an unhealthy relationship. I think that it's just easier when we're not feeling good about ourselves to not reflect on it and address it.
Yeah.
PlayStation does this thing, which I think should be beneficial to people, where at the end of the year, it gives, here are how many hours you played per year. And I remember the first time I saw that. I haven't had a PlayStation for very long. I got one because our friend Josh convinced me to get one.
Oh, he convinced you?
Yeah.
What did he do to convince you?
I can't remember. It's just the thing he's selling it. It's that chance to hang out with your friends and then and it can be fun. But then you're up at 4 a.m. playing Red Dead Redemption, fun game. But how many people I need to shoot and punch in the face before I go to bed?
Yeah.
And
what kind of effect does that have on your subconscious mind?
I have no idea. It's a good question. The number of hours, though, when you can see that, and I don't play it as much as my friends do. In fact, I've stopped. I haven't played it in a long time. I stopped because I was like, I got to stop just playing, like zoning out and playing because you start. There's no 5-minute game, you know.
Yeah.
And it shows all these hours, and I'm just like, man. Some people are looking at this and they're seeing they played video games for like 60 days this year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy. But you know that, though. It's just easy to – a lot of people do drugs. They smoke weed when they play games, and it makes it easy.
I guess it goes hand in hand.
It makes it easy.
Can you even do one without the other?
Yeah,
Can you?
You can stop playing quicker if you don't smoke weed. I can tell you that.
Yeah, so to your point, that's a lot of time and energy that you could be spending.
And that's exactly right. Writing sketches, doing the things you want to do. And
pursuing your passions.
That's
right. You know, the things that really light you up inside. If the only thing that lights you up inside is video games, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's really that healthy, but but like there's things to life than just video games.
What lights you up?
A lot of things. I mean, it usually just boils down to my relationships with people. If I feel like I'm making a positive impact, like earlier today, my students, a lot of my students, after my last class today, it was like a big class. They all came up and talked to me, and one of them in particular was just telling me how much my classes have had a positive effect on her life, and that lights me up inside.
Yeah.
Making people laugh lights me up inside.
Me too.
Any way I can. Creating a film and then like watching the audience be affected by it and seeing how they're affected and seeing like the conversations, like this film that I worked so hard on, like seeing it stimulating conversations.
Are you ever surprised by the reaction?
Like from an audience member? Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Like this one film that I made, I was very surprised by how much people were affected by it, and I was surprised that it was working, and it was, you know, because when you work on a project, like if you're, sometimes you get so consumed in it that like you understand the meaning.
Right.
So it's easy for you to understand, but then it's hard to look at it with fresh eyes and like, how is it going to land with the audience? So when it does land, it's like, yay.
There's that uncertainty too in between where you're worried about it.
I'm sure as a comedian, like you can relate to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I've never not killed, but no, you're 100% correct. And connecting that to what Ted Kaczynski, the whole fulfillment thing, the power process is, for me, whole reason I do this show. I started doing it years ago because I was teaching a stand-up comedy class, is one of the things that inspired me. And a lot of people I knew who were funny, who were very capable, would not do it because they would defeat themselves before they tried because of this ideal of what they're supposed to be and what success is, and they just thought they couldn't be so I would spend most of my time trying to help people overcome that. It wasn't even, they were funny, and they could write well, and they could write good jokes. They just didn't believe they were people who could do that kind of thing because of what they were, right.
Like they wouldn't, like they didn't feel like they could make it their career.
Well, yeah.
Is that what I'm getting?
Yes, that, and it's also the people are going to judge me. My parents are going to judge me. People in my life are going to judge me because they're going to say, "Oh, you need to get a real job. You're wasting your time with that." And I'm like, "All that shit's made up too. All that shit they do is also made up." Yeah. Okay, and they don't even care about it. Job? They don't even. Yeah, right. They don't even care about what you're doing. Is so I've done shows before where after the show, people have come up to me and they said, I was having like a really rough week and this, I haven't felt this good in a month. Thank you. And that to me is why I do the like comedy and this kind of thing. It's not to black pill people. It's to I like to think it empowers people. That's the way I see it. The exposing some of the bullshit that's going on, because it all the bullshit propaganda is what makes people think they're not capable. It's what makes people think that they need to go out and get all these things in order to meet societal standards, while ignoring what's unique within them that is their greatness if they embrace. And so that's kind of been that's why I always fight. I don't fight with, but I'll call out any influencer that I think is bullshit. I don't care how many things they say that I agree with. I don't give a shit. And that's sometimes to my detriment, but the whole reason that I want to do this shit is because pulling back the curtain on that, and some of what Kaczynski pulled back the curtain on in Plato and Socrates, it shows you that the boundaries and limitations that have been put upon you are all an illusion. And it's what's inside of you and what you can cultivate and how you can apply that to help other people is where you can find success. And that was a long explanation to agree with you. But yeah, we feel bad about ourselves because the system
wants us to.
Yes. So what he say? He said obedience. Yeah.
I think he was right in that. I do feel like the powers that be, the system is reliant on us. There's a lot of great quotes in here that talk about how the system needs us in order to stay afloat. It needs us to be compliant and obedient. Otherwise, the system ceases to exist.
That's right. They depend on it.
We have to follow the rules. We have to agree with it. But yeah, what you were saying, I think that like if you can empower somebody to kind of think for themselves, and I think disconnecting because a lot of technology now, like social media especially, it's priming everyone, it's turning everyone against each other. And it's priming everyone to want to hate your neighbor who might have blue hair or whatever.
Yeah. Fag is what you
instead of like, getting to know a person and not judging them just based on like their political ideology.
That's right.
There's more to a person than just politics. There's more to a person than just that.
Yeah.
So if if everyone just took time away and and took time to really kind of evaluate and kind of dig deep and think about, I mean, that was a great question you asked me. What lights you up inside? That's what I do when I'm health coaching. I ask people, what lights you up? What actually brings you? Because so many of us are so disconnected to what actually brings us joy. Because we're just stressed out all the time. Like so many of my students, they come to yoga and things like that because they're stressed. Like, and because American society is like conditioning everyone to be stressed. We're conditioned to think that our self-worth is based on how much money we make. We're conditioned to think that our self-worth is based on how productive we are. And so in order to feel good about ourselves, we think we have to be stressed all the time.
Yeah. And things beyond our control, like foreign wars and stuff. There's nothing we can do about these things to keep people in a constant state of anxiety.
Anxiety and fear and helplessness.
Learned helplessness.
Yeah. So I think when I teach meditation and things like that, I encourage people to sort of do a self-examination, ask yourself, okay, well, what are my unique skills and abilities? Because I like to believe that everyone has something special about them.
Yeah.
That's unique just to them. And when you can like tap into that and then realize that within this lifetime, you can pursue that. I mean, so what if it's not your career? You can still pursue it. You can still like create.
People have been taught to bury that.
Yeah.
In pursuit of being just like everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
When people can identify that within themselves.
Yeah.
You do need to learn the business of the system a little bit, but that is often going to be your most profitable endeavor. Like people don't even realize it because they're got to survive. But the thing that's the most profitable within them is that which is most unique that they've been taught is worthless.
Weird because it's not like a sheep. It's not necessarily like it's the path less taken,
Yeah.
But listen to Robert Frost is what I'm saying. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood. I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference.
And people are afraid of that because the system tells you to take the way. It makes that promise that Kaczynski talked about, where modern society, people they don't learn to live off the land and whatnot. They are given, you will be taken care of if you are obedient to the system.
Yeah, and we're dependent on infrastructure. And, we have to go to the grocery store to buy food. And we could actually make our own clothes, Like, we could do a lot of things.
You make your own clothes? You could. You're right, though.
I make my own pottery. Does that count?
I usually wear nothing but leaves around the house, Adam and Eve.
But I mean, I don't pretend like I'm completely
No, and you don't have to. Like it's the same way I am. I'm not a prepper. I don't live off the land. A friend of ours, Bob. I don't know if you've met Bob, but I know I've spoken to you about Bob. Bob. So Bob used to come on the show all the time when he had he was working for a place he didn't. This happens to me a lot of times. People come on my show, but they'll be like, I need to use a fake name because I don't want to get fired.
Oh, I mean, I understand. Depending on the job you're working, like you never,
don't stop working for those fags is what I say. But he has a plot of land. He has a shipping container that he can live in and whatnot. And I know a lot of people like that. Yeah. I know a lot of people who live off land. And a comment here from Frighten, which is I appreciate this comment very much. Meeting you and Monica at Neighbors Feed and Seed, that's what it was, with 100 other people at the start of the pandemic helped me fight the PSYOP. Thank you. It helped me also. That's what I want to say. Is we were so online and people weren't connecting with others that it was awful. And then getting to go see people in person, it just shows you how there are people that think like you and people are cool. And also, when you disagree with people, because not everybody agrees on everything, you realize that people aren't the stereotype that our screens have convinced us they are. And so these reactions, which are programmed to that, you just listen to people And most people are actually kind of alike. And I think that's why they want to keep people separate. So thank you for that comment. That was a very eye-opening thing for me, actually. There's people that flew in from other states, and nobody was wearing a mask. That's true. We were very anti-mask. We were very anti-mask there. And I remember people were singing "God Bless America" at the end of the night, and got to meet. It was when I really kind of, from what I've done for a while, this has been what I focused on, but never had I seen the perception of reality been distorted than during COVID until we had this live meetup, and so many people who had been in their houses and been told they can't go anywhere and do anything were like, thank God I want to come just be around people and hang out. And it was so chill. And it was cool. And it's like Ted Kaczynski probably had a great time.
Probably would have been good for him to meet some like minds.
Yeah.
To meet some, because I was joking, but I was like, some of what he said, he feels like a kindred spirit. He's just misguided into thinking violence is the answer. And
I want to get him a prostitute when I read. Like, let's get Ted laid, I think, is part of it. Forest Mommy says people were scared. You met Forest Mommy.
Hi. Hello.
They were scared when you had cool people meetups. It was. And I know Forest Mommy's done a lot of meetups as well, so she's experienced the same thing. It's people just want to connect with others.
Yeah.
And people's persona on social media, especially like X, I've found the most aggressive, radical people are pussies for the most part on X. Now, I'm not. So people who build up this online following by acting like they just attack and fight with everybody, because that's what the algorithm does. When you meet some of them in person, because they go to these events, and you're like, oh, some of these guys are just grifting, and they're full of shit, and they rely on keeping people online.
Yeah. And that's sort of like another surrogate activity, I think. A modern day version of a surrogate activity is being like a social media vigilante, virtue signaling, like social justice warrior, where you think that you're doing something important by arguing with someone on X. Like, how many minds have actually been changed by an argument on Facebook?
Zero.
How much good is that?
Literally
But
zero.
to your point, I feel like it attracts somebody who's uncomfortable doing that in person.
Yes.
So they're a lot more comfortable doing it through hiding behind their computer screen.
Trolls.
They're not comfortable face to face.
No.
So it's that's why it becomes such a toxic thing for them. Because it's an illusion. It gives them a sense of this false sense of self-important. I'm doing something important because I'm speaking my mind on X. I mean, no offense if you make money off X or whatever, but like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so I like X. I like X because I've met many people there. Forest Mommy, I met there, and others.
Sure,
but
there's
X has
good
become
things
kind
that
of
come from it.
I rarely even post there anymore, because it you can say things on there that you can't necessarily say in other places, and I do appreciate that. But it's gotten to the point where, so stand-up comedy, most people when they start stand-up comedy, they go through their hard R phase, where I'm going to do a joke where I'm a white guy and I say the hard R. And not even, if you can do it artfully. Some people have done it artfully. I've done the hard A personally a number of times. I've done it pretty well. But I think maybe 1 out of like 50 people I've seen do it successfully. And it's always somebody who just started, who thinks that just, oh my God, I'm free to say this thing that seems taboo. And I'm someone who I think everybody should be able to say anything. I don't give a shit personally, but the audiences do. If your goal is to make an audience like you or laugh, then if you just go call an audience full of black people the hard R, you're going to get yelled at, booed off stage. And I've seen that happen. And that's what X became. This people who were just so excited they could say something that previously they got censored about, that they just said it to the extreme. And it was funny for a little while. And now it's like so normal that I'm convinced that baiting people into doing it so frequently, along with some other things, is going to be the reason they end up censoring us even harder than they had previously in the coming year or so. So everything's anti-Semitic, even the hard R's anti-Semitic, stuff like that. And it's just like control yourselves.
Yeah.
You know, use it. Don't say the hard R every 5 seconds. Say it in a way that's surprising, that's unexpected, that goes, holy shit, I didn't see that coming. That's a good use of the hard R by a white guy. That's what I want to see. And X has become a place filled with bots, just incredible bots, and filled with people who are like 8 years old.
Yeah, imagine how many people think that they're doing something important and they're actually arguing with a bot.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how often, like, somebody thinks
all the
I'm
time.
doing
It's
something so
crazy.
important. You're literally arguing with a bot.
Look, Tom, well, I'm not going to read Tom's comment. He said he'd do it right now. Retard. Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, wow.
Yep. I'm not even against it. I'm just saying do it. If you're going to be shocking in a way that's unexpected and not following in with the programming.
Or I don't know. I just think it's better to have face-to-face conversations.
100%.
Like, real conversations.
I've been called a white nationalist racist by people in Atlanta that I know who, I don't use LinkedIn, but because I was on WSB, they just started posting on my page, you're a white nationalist, which is, like, I don't even know what that means, really.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not.
How would you define
Right.
that?
He so everything he said to me, I had seen from activist emails where they say here's the talking points. And this guy, so I knew, I'm like, dude, I know that you're getting these indivisible emails because that's what they said. And then he'd be like, you love Nazis. And I'm like, no, I don't. So it was somebody I know who I think he got a little lost in his relationship with his wife, and he was basically became like a 40-year-old, Antifa person kind of. And kind of started going after me. Then I'd see him in person, and he was just like, I'd talk to him and ask him questions, and he'd just be like normal. And I'd be like, man, if I said some fucking crazy shit, there's no explanation to it. It was just, he became this meme online every time.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he could help it, really. He would get so triggered just by seeing Trump's face. I disagree with a lot of things Trump does, but my God, seeing his face or hearing him doesn't make me get so fucking butthurt. I just got to start raging out. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think so many folks just like are determined to hate Trump. They're blindsided by other things. You know, it's easy if you want to create like a villain. You know, it's easy if it's a lot easier just to blame one person on all the problems to create a villain, because that takes responsibility off yourself and your neighbor, and like nobody wants to hold themselves accountable.
That's exactly right.
So they just want to blame the fake villain,
because
Trump,
if
on
people
everything.
were accountable, then they wouldn't need politicians because they'd take care of it themselves. But if you can convince people that someone else is accountable, then the politician can come in, you can blame this side, and I'm going to be your solution. That's why this identity politics shit is like bullshit. It is, and racism, if racism ended, the idea of racism ended, then politicians would have nothing to fundraise off of. They'd have nothing to get attention off of. And I hate it. And I get what some of you guys are saying about the hard R.
What are they saying about the hard R?
That free people say it. It's not about comedy. Well, you know, I get that saying things that I don't think we should be restricted by any word. And I think that these words have no meaning the more everybody's accused of racism. But also, friends of mine that are black guys, their history with hearing that's going to cause a reaction. And then I'm not just going to say it to them just because I'm a free person. I'm not going to say it to them because I'm like, I know it's going to make them feel like shit. And now I have some of my black friends said, hey, dude, what if I've started a conversation with them about it? I haven't just like, and then we've talked about it. So in a little bit of a different context. So this, you know, I think I'm kind of a free speech absolutist, but I understand that other people aren't, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like using a word is just a word. So it's you know, sticks and stones might break, may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's what it's if somebody says a word you don't like, I mean, you can decide how you want to
That's
react.
exactly right.
You don't have to let it ruin your whole day.
Yeah.
You could be like, I don't like that word, but I'm not gonna let it ruin my day. Like,
It's gay as shit
and
to let it
we
ruin
do
your day.
have free speech supposedly,
A
so
little bit.
just because someone uses a word doesn't mean like you know you have to like lose sleep over it. You said something, we were talking about like self-responsibility, and so I really like this quote by Sartre. So Sartre says every human is condemned to be free. Every human is condemned to be free. And what I like about that is if we accept that we have the freedom, freedom comes with responsibility, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier
right.
for us to just like let society tell us what to do
Mhm.
instead of trying to take self-responsibility and make conscious choices to just go with the, it's a lot easier to just go with the flow and like accept everything your parents tell you,
Yeah.
and accept all the cultural norms and like, but to actually like take responsibility for not just your life, but like the planet, you know, like this whole experience. It's, you know, people are lazy. So, but that's why I really like the quote.
When you walk by trash out in nature, just if you're outside, you pick it up and throw it away, don't you?
I mean, yeah, I'll put
No,
it,
I think that I do that too, but
Yeah.
that's not a lot. So what you're saying is you don't have to be somebody who's about climate change to recognize when you can clean something up that looks a little bit, you know.
yeah. And it's, you know, you can, hopefully you're throwing it in a place that is actually going where you
I
think.
throw it at a homeless person.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll do something with it. One person's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah. Well, so there's a comment here.
Okay.
These chairs prove that I'm not racist. That's right. Thank you. I have yellow and I have a green chair.
Yeah, representing all the colors.
Tom says, here's the thing, and I haven't read this comment, I didn't pre-read it. Marxist wizard, are you calling? Here's the thing, Marxist wizard kikes hellbent on destroying America from within, turned hard R, I'll get the stream taken down if I say it, into a magic spell that grants the Jewish bioweapon enact total destruction on our lives for words. So I think I get the sentiment there, and I don't disagree. I think like you said, the way people react to words. I've been to many all black open mics to where they have spent much of their time talking about how they dislike white people, and I'm the only white guy in the room. And for me, I'm just like, it feels so good to be the oppressed minority, is what I think. But they also, some of them will get on stage and they'll say, can you believe all these white people are saying nigga on TikTok? And I'm watching them. I'm just like, why are you spending all this time watching some random person trying to get attention on TikTok? And it's affecting your life like that. You have that choice in the way that you react. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Who cares? You have complete control over how you react to things. And you're right in the comments in that they want to control you with this language by controlling your feelings in the way I call them language landmines.
Okay.
Really, it's
I
these
like
these
that.
certain
Yeah.
words that
Like
people
certain words that you know are going to trigger people.
short circuits people's ability to think and have discussion, and it puts them in a pure emotional state.
Yeah.
And
Just from a word.
absolutely, and that they can only do that because we're affected by it. You know. That's why I'm not against using words because you're free. I'm for if you have people you know in your life who are affected by them because of a certain meaning that's been instilled into it by a propaganda machine, discussing it with them and maybe saying, hey, here's why I think this word's funny in a certain context, which I've done plenty of times because I've run some of my jokes by my black friends before I go do a black room.
Yeah.
And they don't get mad at me for it. Now, I don't do LGBTQ rooms, but you know, it's just, it can, the vitriol online is not what people are in real life, but the reactions people have are to real life people
Mhm.
from this stuff they pump down.
Yeah, and I also think that it's okay to. So do you think that it's? Let me ask you this. So when you're making choices with the words that you speak, think that it's fair to be sensitive. Like if you know someone's sensibilities, if you know someone may react in a certain way to the hard R, do you think that it's fair to just kind of use
To antagonize them.
yeah, or just do you think it's fair to use a different word?
Uh, if it comes a situation where you talk to, so if I go up on stage after somebody who's talking about, uh, I can't believe all these white people saying the hard R, and then they did a joke in their set that was about, I saw these police officers beating the shit out of somebody, and I thought it was one of ours, but then I saw it was a white woman, so I helped him kill that bitch. So if I see somebody do a black guy do a joke like that, and
Yeah.
then transition into how he's so offended about what, I'm going to go up on stage after him and I'm going to say, I completely agree with you. It's much worse just for a white guy to say the hard R than it is to kill a white one.
Yeah.
Highlight
It's
that.
hypocritical in that way. Yeah.
But like on a personal level, I think about it when it comes to the trans stuff. I know a number of people who have identified, they're guys that have identified as women that are stand-up comedians. And I don't understand that at all. I think it's it, don't know what the origin of it is. I think there's something missing and there's a phenomenon going on for a lot of it. But I'm not just going to be a dick to them as long as they're not a dick to me.
Yeah.
And so if I've known for years, and if I'm talking, and this has happened to me, I've been like, hey, what's up, man? Oh shit, sorry, dude. Oh fuck. Gonna come at me for misgendering them.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna try and do the thing that makes them feel better.
Yeah. I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think most people are like that. I think the
Yeah.
media highlights the examples of the radical circumstances and they try to make people think that everyone's like that. I have never, and I've done that a lot of times, not on purpose. I've never once had anybody be like, stop misgendering me. They've always been, I get it. I've changed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you. I will find
Mhm.
and, address you as you like. Because
Right.
I don't give a shit what you want to be called.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's so interesting how certain words are so triggering and hold so much. And some people, it's just a word system. It reminds me sometimes like if I'm rising line as an act, some actors this technique they memorize words word actually attaching any meaning to the words. It's like an acting exercise. Because what that does, it doesn't get you stuck with a particular way of saying the words. It doesn't get you. Every word's going to mean something slightly different to each person from their first experience with that word. I mean, that's where, um, so yeah, so I think that if somebody uses a word that triggers you, I think the healthiest thing is to ask yourself why and just maybe have a conversation about why that word triggers you. And then, or
Yes.
yeah.
How often by a word someone says versus the intent behind that word being said. I think it's probably rare that there was an actual hateful intent.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it never has happened.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I think most times it's they're saying it with one intent and it's being received with a pre-programmed intent. And if they have a conversation you're talking about, then it dissipates all of this and it actually takes power away from the system that relies on those language landmines to divide people with identity politics.
Yeah.
I hate that shit. It's just it's disempowering for people to be so caught up on that shit.
Right. Yeah, so
I'll never call a gay guy a fag. Okay, all my straight friends I'll call a fag. But that's the idea of it. It's the same thing. It's just like,
well, yeah, it's like some derogatory terms in certain contexts can just be like playful, silly, like joking, But that's when comedy becomes really hard to navigate I mean, in 2026, I feel like comedy is especially
Totally.
difficult.
Yeah.
But I feel like if comedians are afraid of offending their audience, that's when comedy dies.
Yeah.
You have to push boundaries as a comedian, because the whole point is to provoke people to think about the foibles of humanity
Yeah.
and laugh at yourself, right?
Cross the
And
line a little bit.
yeah, you have to push boundaries. Otherwise, what are you doing? Just comforting people? What does comfort do?
And that's what a lot of these comic rooms are. Being challenged, kind of flipping their perspective. I didn't in Atlanta. I did event stuff, do it in Atlanta for a long time because I couldn't even. It would be like LGBTQ ally only night. You know, we'll kill you if you're like a white guy type. That's black guys. I'm like, you think you hate white rooms? Okay, they'll crawl up on a roof, and depending on what you're believing about the conspiracy, shoot you in the neck, or maybe have his wife shoot you in the neck. One of the two. But yeah, I completely agree with that. And speaking of comedy, I'm doing a show at the Helium Comedy Club in Alpharetta on April 4th with Sam Tripoli is going to be headlining. If you're in the Atlanta area, it's a 7:00 show and a 9:30 show, and it'll be a good time. I've done a few shows with Sam, and it'll sell out. Sam's a great live show, and there will be a lot of crossing of the line going on there. And I'm interested in how the reaction is going to be here, because the shows I've done with Sam in the past year and a half or so, have been at specific events that draw the live audience, that people who listen to my show, people who listen to his show. So I wasn't worried at all.
Mm-hmm.
But this show, it's near. Say some things you don't like. And so I'm
disclaimer.
Yes. Yeah. I'm curious what that kind of blended reaction is, but I think that the culture has changed a little bit. So Trump, there's a lot of things I don't like, but I do think the culture when it comes to comedy is starting to shift a little bit.
I hope so. But yeah, I and make me like kind of question, like, oh yeah, why do I do this ridiculous thing? Look, this is kind of ridiculous, you know? Because when you can laugh at yourself, it's healing.
You're right.
You know, you don't have to like beat yourself up about something, but like, and the other thing is like, you know, when you identify, I don't know. I'm a sucker for comedy.
You're good. I mean, you're very funny. You do improv, you do sketches, you got a good sense of humor.
Well, I just appreciate how it can be healing and it can bring people together. I mean, it literally releases endorphins. It releases stress. I think laughter is one of the healthiest things one can partake in. So,
wonder who Kaczynski's favorite stand-up comedian was.
Did he even have a favorite?
Probably not.
Like, see, that's the thing. If he just had like a little laughter in his life, I wonder if
Because you can use his intellect.
Yeah.
If he were happier, he could probably form a better solution that is more viable. But he was MK Ultra, so maybe that's what they wanted.
Yeah, maybe he was actually conditioned. Maybe he had some type of brain damage or like some weird conditioning, brainwashing. I mean,
Right. And people talk about what's an MK Ultra victim look like.
Right.
Ted Kaczynski, kind of. And not to go too off track from what we were saying, but I did see some comments about it earlier. Just a quick reference of, so Kaczynski, part of his manifesto, along with Ewell, was inspired by a guy named Martin Seligman. Martin Seligman created the theory of learned helplessness back in the 60s. He tortured dogs into a state of not even leaving their crate when it was open, because they had learned that nothing that they do affects the outcome of their life.
Yeah.
And it's considered one of the most unethical experiments ever done. And yet, fast forward to after 9/11, Seligman, the CIA went to him and they said, we want to learn about how we can use this learned helplessness stuff to interrogate people in black sites. And they tortured them using this type of stuff, because he had posited that the same thing could be done to humans. They could be induced into a state of learned helplessness.
Yeah.
And so he then, fast forward to 2003, his new program at UPenn started getting funded by a guy named Jeffrey Epstein. And then you fast forward to 2007, there's 5 names that helped Epstein get that deal. This is one of the only provable things that cannot be argued against that's in these documents that's gotten me kicked off the radio and my website taken down. Is he helped Epstein get that initial deal, and because he was used as a character reference in the context of he funded Martin Seligman's positive psychology work, which was the year after Epstein got that deal. Seligman was given a $30 million no-bid contract to do an experiment on the military, which involved psychological resilience that was considered against the Nuremberg Code because nobody who had joined knew what was going on. And the idea was to give them virtue scores, to give them conformity scores, to connect them to to go fight in this war for a higher power. Are you willing to sacrifice yourself, even if you disagree, because of the higher, everything we kind of see right now and we've seen to get people to go fight, overcome the psychological resistance of killing someone by framing it in a way where this is a demon that's evil, is going to, all this shit. And so he's gotten over $100 million since then to do that same stuff. And it's really crazy when you look at some of the tests. It's very much brainwashing.
Yeah.
And so he's right now, they called him Dr. Happy because he would make people happy to go fight in wars. On all of the social media data around the world, with the idea being that you can give people scores based on their post. And the higher the psychological resilience means
based on their post?
Their online presence. So you do a linguistic analysis. And based on this linguistic analysis of people's online presence, you determine whether or not they are psychologically resilient, meaning they'll conform, or they're a problem, meaning
they're not conforming.
Yeah, so you have low psychological resilience. And the website is at the UPenn thing.
Wouldn't that be, okay, so wouldn't psychological resilience be more like, no, I'm not going to conform?
But it's weird. It's inverted.
It's funny how they're calling psychological resilience, I'm susceptible, I'm docile,
it's totally,
I'm gullible, therefore
Orwellian,
it's easy to manipulate me, I'm docile, that means I have psychological resilience. No, that means you have,
it's a compliment.
It's opposite.
Right. No, that's right. And that's the whole inversion of this language that they use. And they're creating an AI based on him. There's an article about this where they want to capture his wisdom after he dies. And he's considered in the academic community.
No, like try to download his consciousness.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And this guy's never been questioned about his Epstein stuff, other than by me on this show. And I'm thinking about taking one of his classes online. I don't know if he still teaches it, but I bring this guy up all the time. And he's the only guy who's connected to him who's never actually had his relationship publicly criticized. And I think it's probably because he still has that's with a Department of Justice contract doing that World Happiness Experiment. They exposed this guy, exposed the entire operation. He's the head of the brainwash industrial complex, essentially. And he's considered by the academics to be the most influential cognitive behavioral psychologist in the world, 5th most influential all time. And Ted Kaczynski's manifesto was inspired by this guy because he believed that the technocratic society turned humans into, it conditioned them to have learned helplessness. And I just discovered this a few months ago, and it's very interesting to see his arguments about it. He wrote Seligman a bunch of fan letters, kind of, while he was in prison.
Oh, fan letters.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. Apply to think, and he's
at least some
his have been, but and they've done this thing when he was asked if he with a girl, and every single question, but they programming things where you can question something for real,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey.
Definitely. Poor Krasinski. I shouldn't really sympathize with him because I'm like a murderer.
He is dude, Luigi that he gets all the letters. Shit's real weird, you know. But so the whole idea behind people are like separate, like free Luigi because he's such and powerful. But if that person's dick, he had kids. You know, I don't like. I know that human
People are
nature kills
preaching
people,
free
but
Maduro too, and like free. Yeah, everyone's a human being, but like, I don't know. Yeah, you can sympathize with someone, but that doesn't mean you can. That doesn't mean that it's, like you can sympathize with somebody who committed a crime, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't be held accountable.
yeah, and it
Like,
goes to judging people. So maybe the second time we met, yeah,
yeah.
and from anything, if not signing the influence to.
Like how people go crazy. Um, because then it raises questions. Okay, what can we do to prevent this? Is there something we can do to protect the minds of other human beings so
Mhm.
we just don't keep like society doesn't keep creating these products that are
Right.
like, people shooting up schools and like, I mean, I think it's important to read those things to understand why people go crazy.
Totally.
Like I think that's a good
I
thing.
think they don't want you to read them because they don't want you to understand why.
Just because you understand it doesn't mean you're going to become like them.
That's why I'd say,
Unless
look,
you're that
if you're gonna read Mein Kampf and you're gonna just buy into all of the ideology of it, then okay, don't read it. But if you have the wherewithal not to,
yeah.
just be like, time to get the Jews, all of them, then you know, and there'll be some people in the chats that will get mad at me about that. I understand that, but it's not all the Jews, just like it's not all the Muslims. So that's this whole thing with Iran. Like I joked, I've been joking for months where to some of my friends, because I saw the appeals, I'd be like, we don't have to kill all the Muslims, dude. And then it started to become like religious appeals, the past couple weeks to where it's framed as a religious war, which it often is. But I'm like, man, all these people who are against war, when Trump, he's anti-war, they're pro-war now because it's a religious war. So that trumps what I previously
Right, because it's based on
believed.
religion, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting that Trump kind of ran on like there won't be a war.
Yeah. Fuck that shit. It's funny.
And
Woodrow Wilson, he gave out these wooden pennies. They'll keep you out of war. 6 months later, you were in World War II.
yeah.
And then, you're couple. And I always enjoy talking to you. And we'll go through and read the hard R and the Jew comments later. And who said it? Give you a quote challenge.
I don't know.
This is Ted Kaczynski related, and you guys in the chats can see if you can guess who said it as well. First quote: "System pulls you in and never lets go. It invades your said it.
Mm. I w- depending on it would be too obvious if it was Uncle Ted.
Very smart.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, that was a trick that I set you up. It was Hunter Biden. It was neither.
Hunter Biden.
It
said
was Hunter
that?
Biden said that.
What? What? Hunter Biden.
It is 2021
I would not suspect
book.
that.
It was Hunter Biden. Yes, very much.
Okay.
Let's do another one. I won't trick you, so I'll give the.
Hunter Biden sounds like him and Uncle Ted could be friends.
Might as well be. Here's the quote. Once the world has access to every part of you, privacy stops being about secrecy and starts being about survival. Who said it? Was it Edward Snowden, Ted Kaczynski, Rihanna, or Ron Paul?
So before I try to guess, I mean, I disagree with the quote. I don't think that they have access to every part of you. Like, they haven't seen my insides. They can't read my mind.
Nanobites.
They they can't read my mind. So I will say I kind of disagree with it. But to guess who said it?
Snowden is one of the answers there. Yeah.
Oh, you're guessing Snowden?
We have
Rihanna?
Nicki Minaj, even though that wasn't a choice. That was
Rihanna?
but I always confuse Nicki Minaj and Rihanna as well.
I'm just gonna guess Rihanna because it's like the most.
You are
like,
correct.
Okay.
It was
It's
Rihanna.
kind of dumb. So I was like, it's probably.
So yeah, it was not. Yeah, it seemed like
It's
it
not
was
really
insightful.
well thought out. She thinks that the world. She thinks like the world has seen every part of me.
Option double D said JC, and that would be the correct answer as well, I guess, for Rihanna.
Yeah, because she's a celebrity, so she has a delusion of self-importance. So she thinks the world
Right.
is inside her,
Yeah,
and it's not.
And
She's
she's
not.
just
She's not the center of the universe.
sucking off
That's-
Erica Kirk. Okay, one more. The conservatives are fools. They complain nonstop about how traditional values are disappearing, but they're the ones cheering for all the new technology and endless economic growth. They don't get that you can't change the tech and the money machine that fast without wrecking everything else in society. Was that Ron Paul, Ted Kaczynski, or Candace Owens?
Ron Paul.
That was Ted Kaczynski,
Okay.
but very Ron Paul.
I wasn't gonna guess Ted Kaczynski at all because I was like, it's too obvious.
Yeah, it's too. But
Okay.
it is.
Candace Owens. I was definitely not Candace Owens, but dare
good.
to know. Have courage to use your own understanding. Was it Immanuel Kant, Aristotle, Socrates, or Spinoza?
Tell me the quote again.
To know courage, your understanding.
Aristotle.
Kant.
Damn it.
But that's kind of what we were talking about. Like, if you're reading Mein Kampf, like that's like you're exercising your own courage to understand. Like, it takes courage to understand something.
For.
Yeah.
So the reason that people don't want to read Mein Kampf or read Ted Kaczynski talk about reading it, they have reacted judgmentally, like they've kind
You
of
want to read that?
they've applied the domestic terrorism perspective onto them, and they realize after maybe daring to engage in it that I can't tell some people I know because they'll view me the way that I previously viewed people, and that's coming out of the cave right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's
That's the best people to talk to are people that seek to understand
That's
first
right.
before they seek to be understood. That's what I think.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if all you're doing in a conversation is if all I'm trying to do is to get you to understand me, that's very like
Yeah.
one-sided and biased. If I'm trying to understand you and you're trying to understand me,
Mhm.
that's the only way we can understand each other.
Yeah.
instead
Right.
of you just
Destroys all, especially online debate. This debate bro shit where it's like, I want to win this debate.
what are you winning?
I see this shit online and people get propped up by it. I'm like, that. Do you understand that it's these two opposing influencers who both have big followings, whose followings already have decided who won the debate before it started, to a debate that is going to drive engagement between the plebes fighting in the comments, and there will actually be nothing actually gained when it comes to the conversation because of this idea that it's exploitative based on this internet culture. Because any real conversation, you're not trying to win a debate. Who gives a fuck? Like who gives a shit? Like the outcome of something like that,
Yeah.
it is, if it's outcome oriented, then there's no real actual pursuit of truth.
No, because they're not trying to pursue truth. They just want to be right to feed their ego. They're just
Right.
looking for an ego boost.
No, yeah.
So they care more about their ego than they care about learning the truth, which is pretty lame. I'll read one more. Let's see if you can guess this. Or let's see if you can guess if you're watching. Name the person. Men think themselves free because they are conscious of their actions, but ignorant of the causes.
Okay.
Was it Jean-Paul Sartre, Edward Deci, Richard Ryan, or Oprah?
I'm going to go with the only one I've ever heard of, Oprah.
What do you guys think? Any guesses? Is anyone watching? Anybody?
It's a very profound comment.
And you get a gift. You get a gift. It was Spinoza. But what do you think about that? Like, do you think this is sort of the question?
The illusion of freedom.
Of free will versus
It's
determinism.
that's something I think right now I've thought about more than I ever have in my life because of the technology. And you can create video games, these simulation games, where your player can walk by somebody and go, "You're ugly," and then you walk by that same character later, that NPC, and it doesn't like you because it remembers what you said. And once you start to see that, it's like, am I a character in a video game type thing? I feel like I have freedom, and a level of freedom anyway. I think that we do have freedom, and I don't actually think it's that, but I do get the argument that once if we get to the point where we can create a simulation that believes it's sentient and real, then how can we determine whether we're one or not? I don't think that's where we are. I do think that we are controlled by a lot of factors in society, and there's everything. They wouldn't have to build such a propaganda apparatus to try and brainwash us and influence us to make decisions if we didn't have a little bit of free will. If there wasn't a chance that we would decide to make choices that they didn't like, and they spend billions of dollars and to try and to prevent us to do that, they wouldn't waste all that money, because if they didn't do it, we would choose things a lot differently. So that in and of itself tells me that we do have free will. It's just the power to exercise it in a society that conformity and bandwagon and comparison and trying to keep up with all the Joneses and whatever. I think we recognize it, but sometimes lack the spine to go against what everyone else is doing to exercise that free will.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you look at freedom from like a scientific lens and how we're all just chemical compounds. You know, we have a genotype, we have DNA. You know, we're kind of like a computer operating system. We think that we have. Where do our thoughts come from? Are we consciously creating those
Yeah.
thoughts? And a lot of our thoughts and our feelings are the result of something that happened, everything that happened leading up to it. So if you think about causality, how one thing leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next, it's a question, you know. Did Kaczynski have the free, was it within his free will
Yeah.
to, you know, bomb those people?
Right.
Or could he not help the way he became? And that raises the question of accountability. There before, um, more a, a compatibilist just means like um, maybe we don't have free will, but as a human being, you have to kind of operate as if you do.
Yeah. Now that you say that, would make sense, you know?
Yeah. You believed in determinism, but believed he was and basically like keeping us from exercising our free will. But I don't know. I think it's a good question to keep asking.
Yeah, I do too. For me, I operate on the premise or the assumption that my choices will have an impact.
Yeah.
The awareness of it, kind of the self-reflection, which everything is trying to prevent it, or most scared to do.
Yeah. And I will say when I'm meditating, it certainly feels like I have free will during deep meditation. Is a point where there's so much space between that I
Mhm.
can make conscious choices. So it feels like I have free will, even though
Right.
we can't really prove that free will exists or not. It feels like
O-
we do.
Or yeah, we could all be part of a giant organism in a galaxy that
Yeah.
there's so much that I feel like we don't really know anything, honestly. Our level of knowledge, wisdom, that can perceive dimensions, or they can perceive things that we can't see or hear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if that's true, what else is true?
Well, do you think that it's possible that we could develop? So, I mean, we have our five senses, but I mean, do you believe that we have this like untapped sixth sense?
Elon will Elon will get us there.
You think so?
With Chip, he'll get us there. I
We use like
yeah.
a certain percentage of our brain.
Yeah. So yoga, well, I used to think was very gay. I and I know it's improv, and improv is also can be gay, but I sense more of what's going on than when I was centering myself and kind of focusing in using those techniques. And so I absolutely think that we are kind of I don't know if we have a what's it called, third eye, where we can astral project. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we can manifest realities. I think that I don't think we can just lay there and do it. I think we have to like manifest it, see it, and take action based on what we visualize and believe. And I think that reality is a lot more shapeable. Objective reality, but I don't think it matters when perception determines everything. And perception can be shaped, and whatever you see yourself as simply a perception that, and if you don't like it, you can actually just change that.
Mhm.
And now more than ever, actually, you can use the internet to the benefit of this. People can be one thing one day and then completely a different thing the next day. Just look at most of the politicians
Mhm.
who have completely, most of their backgrounds are made up and they were completely different people. And I think that that's some stuff that can be taken away where it's like, if you're not happy with where you are because of the way you think other people see you, maybe that's just how you see you.
Mhm.
And maybe if you start seeing you become another motherfucker and take action to become that and repeat that in your mind over and over again, it will overtake the brain of the neural networks. It will become the predominant thing, and you will become that person. And then you will start living as that person, and that's how others will see you, and those opportunities you desire will come. And I think that's how reality can be shaped. I don't know if that was a response really to what you're saying. I think it's a lot more malleable. I think the system like to prevent us recognizing that.
Interesting. I think there's probably an objective reality, but
I don't think we could ever see it.
yeah, you don't think we can actually we just limit by within the confines of our own perceptions,
Well, you
our
take
own 5, 6
yeah,
senses.
yeah. Like we've
Yeah.
talked about it. Somebody gets shot in the middle of the road, or
Uh,
and it looks obvious what happened.
yeah.
And then the news comes out and you have two opposing stories about what happened that both sides completely believe.
Yeah.
And it's like, that seemed like the most objective thing.
Hmm.
And yet that's not what the perception is.
Yeah. Perception is kind of an interesting thing. You said something interesting. You said if you're not happy with the way other people perceive you, maybe that's because you're perceiving yourself, right? I do wonder because it's. I mean, I feel like we have such limited control over how other people see us, but I
Right.
do question how much control we have over how we see ourselves. I don't know how over that, and I don't know how much control we have over how other people see us either. I don't know. Does it really matter? Like, I guess that's the question. Like, does it matter? Would it matter how other people perceive us? I guess if we're
Well,
trying to,
if other people perceived you as a Unabomber,
yeah,
then they might be like, I don't
yeah,
want to take your yoga. Superficial level. And you're
yeah,
right that you can't control what other people see, but you can control what you project.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, reflecting on what you project, which is
Mm-hmm.
not easy to do because we're hardest on ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
um, can help us be like, maybe I'm projecting some things that is drawing this negative energy that I feel. Okay?
Right.
Maybe if I recognize that and I adjust it, then it might attract different energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get it. I follow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I really think like reflection is just such a simple thing, but nobody wants to do it. And it's so easy not to. So easy to go smoke weed. It's so easy to go like do something else
Mm-hmm.
because, like you said earlier, when you reflect, you see personal responsibility, like choices you made, and they want you to blame things on other things so you don't have to feel bad about yourself. But sometimes we need to feel a little bad about ourselves.
Yeah, and I
So
think it's also a matter of like when you being still is very difficult when you're programmed to with constant
right,
stimulation and you're programmed to like, oh, I have to be productive, otherwise I'm not worthy,
right,
right? So if you have that narrative going, like subconsciously, like my self-worth is based on how productive I am, that sitting still, you feel guilty because you're just sitting still. But also I think it's people there are things in our to confront, like our ideas, our is about mortality and all that
yeah,
stuff.
people don't want to
So,
die.
uh, so my thing with fear is like I'm afraid of a lot of the things that most people are afraid of. I mean, but I try to like early on in my life, I tried to put myself in situations where I could face the thing that I was afraid of. And that way I can trust that I can handle it, if that makes sense.
Of course.
Like sometimes when I was younger, I would do this. I'd be like, I'm afraid of this. So I'm just going to create a situation so I can like face the fear. And then I know I can recover.
Like you would visualize it?
No, I would like put myself in a situation
Really?
that scares me. I would do something out of my comfort zone because I was afraid of it.
What's an example?
Like acting.
Okay.
You know, I'll
I was just say going into an alleyway with a guy with a gun.
Oh, well, so when it comes to like actual like life-threatening situations, no, I don't go that far.
See what you're saying?
Yeah. But I'm at interpersonal fears. Fearing for my life. I mean,
Yeah, because failure is like a social fear
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Because of this idea that like you're just supposed to do everything perfect the first time, which is the dumbest fucking thing.
Yeah.
Failure is actually great.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you're learning a new skill, you can't expect yourself to get it right. You have to fail a few times before.
Right.
So yeah, my thinking with something like that, it's like I've pursued things that I was not necessarily scared, but just like uncomfortable with. Like we were talking about earlier, stepping outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
In order to grow, not just to like, oh, I'm afraid I'm gonna get stabbed, so I'm gonna stab myself.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to like growth, and you know, I think that like if there's something in life that you're curious to experience, but you're kind of afraid of what's gonna happen, I always advocate like, you know, what's the risk?
What's the worst?
What's the risk? Like you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna feel bad. You're going to feel like a failure. You could hurt somebody else. I mean, I get it, but like, you'll get over it. They'll get over it. Like, I don't know.
That'd be a funny sketch where it's like you're motivating somebody and it's the best advice. And they're like, you're right, you know, worst that happens is that I could just fail and people could laugh at me. And then they do it. And then like thousands of people die.
But that's the thing. It's like, even if you're pursuing something and that thing that you want fails, you can still pursue other things.
Right. It doesn't matter.
But also, like, if you're enjoying the process of pursuing that goal.
That's right.
Right? And then it's also like, okay, well, how do you define failure? Like, okay, did you enjoy the process? Like, as an actor, are you enjoying, like, the pursuit? Like, the actual experience of pursuing the thing? Then you're not a failure if you're having fun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's in the process. It's not attached to the outcome. If you're engaged in the process, the outcome will come. Because sometimes the outcome is determined by other people. And so there's nothing you can do about that except continue to do better. You said something a second ago. I don't remember what it was. It'll come back to me. I want to wrap it up with two things. Did you see the story? I think I sent you the link about this.
Oh,
the professional cornhole player.
Yes, that was wild.
Who... You guys have probably seen it who are listening.
Yeah, the professional cornhole player.
Who looks like a lesbian, by the way.
I know.
Looks like a lesbian.
Yeah.
Who was on ESPN as a professional cornhole player defeating people with full arms and legs. This is a quadruple amputee here. Mm-hmm. Not the shoulder. I told Josh about it, and then I showed him the video, and he goes, I thought it was at the shoulder. I'm like, could you have done that? Could you be pro with just right here? He's like, maybe. Nevertheless, this guy is riding home, for some reason driving. It's with the article.
He drives
the article
too.
says he was driving the car.
He drives. I guess, yeah, I mean, that I can see. The firing the gun, I was like, how is he doing that?
There's a video of him, like he's apparently very aggressive in showing how he fires guns with his nubs.
Yeah.
My question is, how drunk do you have to be? It was late at night to be like, I can't drive. We better get a ride home with old Nubby here. Like 3 dudes getting in the car with nubs behind the wheel.
Right.
Is the first thing that's the first poor decision. So there's obviously some intoxicated conversation going on. Maybe some enough with your stump speeches, whatever. Maybe a few slights. He was able to continue driving, apparently. Shoot the passenger twice, kill him, and then demand the guys in the back seat help me get rid of the body. To which that's where they draw the line. They'll get in the car with a stump behind the wheel. But as soon as he shoots somebody, they're getting out and they're going to go to police. And then this is where the story takes the most interesting turn that not a lot of people are talking about. He then drives 15 miles away while these other guys go to the police and dumps the body in somebody's front yard. And I was just thinking about what that was like for those people. They wake up the next day, come out in the yard, and they find a dead body in their yard. The most shocking thing that could happen to anyone until they go check their security camera. And they see a car pull up, a quadruple amputee get out, hobble his way around to the other side,
Right.
open the door, and somehow, maybe with his teeth, drag the body. At this point, they're going, where's Ashton Kutcher? This is a hidden camera thing.
They've been punked.
It's the only time finding a dead body is the second most shocking thing to happen.
Second most shocking thing. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
But what are you all doing with your life? This guy can go pro.
I know. I'm like, I can't even play cornhole with all my limbs and like no legal trouble. Like I'm
Right.
very impressed.
He's gonna clean up. I gotta say though, he's gonna be. I don't know what he's gonna be in prison. He's not gonna be able to defend himself. I don't think.
Aw. Maybe, yeah. It's great. I just want to know what their argument was about.
Me too.
I want to know.
What do you think it was about? If you could speculate.
Oh, it was thumb war.
Thumb war, you think?
Yeah.
You know he got cracks all the time because the guy was super competitive. And imagine being somebody who gets beat by him.
Yeah.
Like I'm on the amateur circuit on cornhole, and I'm just like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
I'd make a few thumb war comments, okay? After he'd be like, fuck you, dude, let's thumb war.
Yeah.
Like, probably got tired of it.
I don't know. I'm very curious though. I really want to know, like, what drove him to do that.
Take a Waymo, you know? Don't get in the car with this guy. It's the
Yeah.
craziest thing to me.
I wonder if they were on a lot of drugs or something.
I would hope they weren't sober.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll drive. You don't have any arms. Why did you drive her in the first place?
right.
I thought maybe it was an automatic, maybe an ad for like a Tesla, but it said he was driving.
Yeah, I mean, if he can play cornhole and if he can shoot a gun, he could definitely drive.
Is that on his license? What kind of license is
But
that?
how do
Like,
wait a second. I'm trying to actually imagine this now. Like,
does he reach
how
the,
does this-
how does he reach the
how does he
pedals,
reach
you
the
know? Is
pedals?
he just on the ground? There's like a monitor down there.
wait, now I'm actually visualizing it and I can't see it.
It's very, yeah.
How does he reach the pet? No, seriously. Like, how does he?
He's got to be on the ground with his nubs, or there's got to be some sort of, maybe it's on the
Then
steering wheel.
how does he reach the steering wheel and the pedals at the same time?
I don't think he does. I think that's the risk you take. Or
So does he?
maybe it's all in the steering wheel.
Maybe he's just sitting.
How does he shoot someone
he has to be
while
able to
also doing all
see.
of that?
He has to be able to see out the window, so he can't be sitting on the floor.
It'd be great if he was blind also. It'd be perfect. It's a real Helen Keller, this guy.
Maybe he was
May-
like trying
yeah.
to I don't know.
There's got to be some sort of visual system. As he's either on the ground, it's got to be very dirty,
Mm-hmm.
or he can do everything by the steering wheel.
Yeah.
It had to be some assistant. The was driving.
He could. That's what I'm saying. It's like how. I don't understand. how
You
the
gotta want
physics-
right, and it's gonna take him a minute to get the gun out. You know, you
Yeah.
have a chance to stop this,
Right.
right?
Right.
He's not a quick draw. There's no way.
Yeah.
He's the fastest gun in town. He's a stump.
Yeah. What is crazy story. I don't.
It's so funny because he's been documented on ESPN for years about how inspirational he is.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Now he ruined his legacy. One trigger happy decision.
Unless he's just like a super ninja, and he the first guy comes at him in prison, he just like he chews his neck out or something like that.
I wonder if he can if he's like faking it and I can extend his legs.
He's got fake. It's all. He can stake his arms out, strangle somebody, and then suck them back
Suck
in.
him back Anakin. He's actually just like a mutant, you know? Like he can like
He's got a third eye.
he's a shapeshifter. Oh,
That's got to be the
that's the
answer.
only reasonable explanation. He is a reptilian shapeshifter.
That's exactly what it is.
That's 100% what it is. I figured it out.
The answers, we finally solved this riddle, and I hope they make that trial.
There's no other logical explanation. He's a reptilian shapeshifter.
So David Icke proven true. I want to do this with you because you did it perfect last time, and then we're done.
Oh, one of these. Okay.
I love these. This is Smoking Gun. Let me put it on the screen for you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Thank you for all the hard R's and the Jews and all the great stuff.
Thanks for hanging out.
And the chats. I know there was a heated discussion about the J's and the hard R's, and nevertheless, also some optimistic stuff.
Yeah, and also if you're watching, comment. I'm curious what you think about free will. Do you think we have free will or no? I like asking that question.
What do you think when people say no to that?
I understand. I understand both perspectives. I don't argue with them.
Do you find people who say that they don't? Do you find them? What are they like? Is there like a similarity?
Well, you know, if people who don't think that they have free will, it's more of like, I think it's actually more of a comforting thing because again, you don't have to have as much responsibility. If everything's predetermined, it makes you feel less responsible. Sometimes it's a religious thing, you know, like God's in charge, and so
what do you think of that?
I mean, I respect it. I just, you know, I always ask more questions, like, well, okay, maybe what is God to you?
What's God to you?
What if God was one of us?
I always picture God as Alanis Morissette.
No, that's not Alanis Morissette. But it's someone like her.
It's not. That was her.
You would think it's Alanis Morissette. That actually wasn't Alanis. It was somebody else. Okay. Just a stranger on the bus.
This is very much my ears. See you later, JC.
God to me is in all of us. It's within, without. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Are you agnostic, or is that what you are?
Yeah. Ish.
Yeah. And that means you believe that there's something, but not.
So it's the official term for undecided.
Okay.
Essentially. Yeah. I mean, I could color it in like a prettier, like.
No, I think that's.
Undecided. But I also love learning about different religions and trying to understand. Because I think you can take, if you look at religions as religious texts, there's valuable lessons in a lot of religious texts. There's valuable lessons. If you take away the semantics and the story and you identify the underlying meaning, there's a lot more similarities than differences. Right. And
so if people could read other religious texts that oppose theirs, it'd be like somebody reading Mein Kampf or reading the Ted Kaczynski Manifesto, who has a bias where they might learn something that, because everybody has these stereotypes about these other religious texts that they're just the most awful, worst thing ever. And my reaction is always, all of them have some pretty crazy shit in them. Not to, but all of them, like, there's a lot of similarities in them. And yeah, there's crazy shit in all of them. Mm-hmm. But so I didn't mean to hijack your point there, but
no, so it's exactly. And so if you
take a lot from all of them, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, and so you learn that someone's belief system is actually more in line with yours than you realize. You learn that you have more in common than you might have thought otherwise. If you take the time to actually examine the underlying meaning, the actual like ethics and morals are a lot more similar. It's just the stories that are different.
Yeah, that's right.
With a lot of religions. So that's where I think, you know, there is we can agree, you know, that it's easier to agree on the deeper meaning of all those stories than like, but I'm kind of like, I definitely think there's more to life than meets the eye. And like what we were talking about earlier, I mean, we're so limited in how we understand the world. There's probably a lot that we just can't experience with our 5 or 6 senses. So I like to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
And agnostic is the closest thing I could identify.
You have to put a label on it. People put labels and everything. It just I hate labels. I oppose them because as soon as you accept one, everybody sees you as a stereotype of it, and I'm like, I'm not. You're not putting me in a fucking box. And I think that is be a good person. You know, I think we're at a point at time in history in the evolution of humanity that people recognize at the base level what being a good person is, and don't fucking kill people. Don't like. I mean, I get it. It's just they just play us. They pull us around by these same fucking appeals, using religious texts. And so I don't know a lot about all the religions. I know there's a lot of similarities in them. The Christian faith. Some of the best people I know are Christians. Now, what I'm seeing is the Christian faith being used to propagate war. I don't like that. What I like is the people that I know that I'm just so I'm in awe of how their faith guides them, and it makes them be so kind to people who they otherwise might have got fought with, who hated them and came after them, but they have stood strong and even won that person over because of how faithful they are, and it's an inspiration. And I see people like that. And I'm specifically thinking about Christian friends of mine who I wish other people who claim to be Christian would embody, because that's what the real shit is to me. Not the shit where it's like I'm going to say I'm Christian online so that I can fight on one, because there's a fight between Christians online right now. Some who are pro Zionists, some who are anti. I don't agree with the war, but I also recognize the propaganda going on, trying to divide that group. And it's all based on using these religious texts out of context against people. And I'm just like, just be a fucking good person. I know you don't get as much engagement, clicks.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is really gross is when people use religion as a way to control and, like, you know, prop themselves up, and it's like a business tactic. And they're not actually being genuine about their religion.
Yeah, right.
They're just
totally.
and that's what I think is gross. I think that happens. I think a lot of people are pretending to be religious.
Absolutely.
When they're not.
Some of them have been exposed. They would shame people for being virgin, for not being virgins, saying they're virgin when they get married. Turns out they were having sleep. And I'm not trying to criticize, because my presumption is that was a lie to begin with. And I know some of these people. And so I'm not trying to criticize, but I always recognize the con. And there's a book somebody mentioned in the comments called The Big Con that I think everybody should read and then apply that to modern society, because it's a great book and it's totally true. And so I see a lot of people, many that I've met, and they're not, you know, they've been nice to me, but when I see them get into turmoil online because of what they were previously doing to get views and shit, which is shame people for not meeting an ideal that they themselves pretended to meet, but obviously did not. I never believed they did. And I'm not going to call them out because I know them, but I'm like, when they get called out, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of expected that was going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
And it's part of the game that people play, and it is profitable. The incentive is to lie. The incentive is to be divisive and shame people. And I wish it weren't. I wish it were otherwise.
Yeah, you know, some people ask me, well, you know, you teach yoga. Yoga's like a religion. And I guess there's a fine line between, like...
Fine lines? I'm sorry.
A fine line between philosophy and religion,
right.
You know, but the philosophy of yoga is not religious. It's actually about cultivating unity. And any religion, because I get asked this sometimes, because yoga originated from these ancient Hinduist beliefs. That's how it originated, from Hinduism beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it's evolved, you can approach yoga with any religion. You can literally bring any religion to a yoga practice.
Yeah,
it's about bringing, like, your intention to the practice.
Yeah.
So it could be a religious intention, or it could be a different intention. But there is a whole, like, yoga philosophy, which relates to, like, what you eat, how you treat people, how you treat yourself. So there is a whole, like, way of life. And I think if you're practicing, like, true yoga philosophy, it's a healthy way to live, but there's no religious dogma to it. But a lot of people think, well, no, it's like, it's against Christianity.
People think that?
Yeah, some people. I actually haven't been able to teach in certain corporate situations because the employees think it's against yoga's against their
Because of its
religion.
origin?
Because it originated like over 1,000 years ago
It's
in
crazy.
ancient India.
That's crazy. It's body move. That's so crazy.
But because of the ancient origins. But I like learning about the ancient origins. And then there's a whole other like metaphysical aspect to it that you can either embrace or refute. And there's so many different styles of yoga too. Like you can approach it just from a practical standpoint. I just want to get in better shape. I just want to release stress. Or you can approach it with like a spiritual aspect to it. And both approaches are like totally valid. So anyway, I just went off on a tangent.
Well, we've talked about this off camera, and I am a big advocate of it. And like I said, I used to be like, I would never do that. I play sports. I'm not going to do this gay shit. Until my friend, who's my director at improv, was like, you got to just submit and follow. Just trust me, type. You know, because the whole rejection of it is control. I don't want to feel stupid.
You don't want to feel silly.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was just like, just trust me and relent. And I did. And I was glad that I did. And it's something that I can definitively, when it comes to my performance over the years, and I've been performing for 20 years now at this point, live shows, that I can pinpoint what the main determining factor is for when I am on point and sharp and when I'm not. And it's when I hone in and I do a yoga warm up. And we talked about, I don't know the names of the stuff, but I was describing them and you did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't, it gets you into a place where you aren't being controlled by your anxieties. And you aren't being controlled by future worries and things you're dwelling on in the past. You're being controlled by what you're recognizing in front of you in the moment, and in a way that is empathetic to that. So people will say, "Well, empathy's bad." I don't want to get into that discussion. That's not what we're talking about. But empathetic to for this context, you're reacting and you're actively listening and you're working together, and that's what I've used yoga for. And then I started doing it in my everyday life. Because I'm like, well, maybe if this works, maybe if this works for me.
Not like taking a class.
No, I don't. I'm
like,
not.
I'll do it
I'm still not there yet. I'm still not there yet. But so it's always helpful to have somebody guide you in doing it. But I would do it to start my day sometimes, thinking, well, if it works here in this situation, I wake up and I feel like I'm having a slow start.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do some of this shit that works. And even still, it still feel silly. You have to overcome that, but it helps. Like it's never not helped. And the reason I'm advocating that right now is because people have a perception of yoga based on what society. So guys hear yoga and they're like, oh, well, I'm a dude, and that's the thing. But the reality is, it's just getting in touch with your body, and it's just like working out.
Well, yeah. I mean, in some of my classes, like I have more guys than girls, actually.
I'm sure.
Maybe they're more interested in something else than yoga, but which is really lame. If I don't know, but yes, I mean the practice of yoga. If you are an athlete, yoga will enhance that skill. Like whatever you like to do, yoga can help you become a better football player, a better basketball player. Yoga helps your golf game a lot. So I teach at a country club.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's good.
Everyone at the country club, the only reason they're there is to improve their golf game. And I have improved their golf game.
I'll get your handicap down to like a -3 or whatever.
But I mean, yoga has so many physical benefits, but
so personally basketball.
It'll help you be a better basketball player.
With basketball, when you're shooting free throws, there was a funny video going around where the new heckle is people in the stand shouting right before the guy shoots, "That's my man!" And the guy, like, there's people looking. That's a great heckle, but you have to black out people yelling at you when you're shooting free throws, and that's when you can get in your head the most is when you're shooting free throws, and yoga, when you just breathe, and I've applied this playing in men's leagues that I play in now, and I don't miss when I just remember. I go
Breathe.
back to just, I
Connect your
breathe
breath
and I
to
connect
it. Yeah.
and
You,
yeah.
And I mean, when you're connecting your breath to anything you do, it's a completely different experience. Um, but I mean, what you were saying as far as like, oh, I like to like do my own yoga practice. I don't like to be guided. So
I do like to be guided, but I'd be embarrassed to go to a class.
oh, I got you. Like in a
Yeah.
public class.
Yes.
Well, I love being guided because for me, it's a way to, I don't have to think so hard about it.
Right.
So, like, I
Yeah.
create all these sequences all the time, and I'm very consciously aware when I'm teaching a class. Taking a class is completely different because it's about surrender,
Hmm.
and it feels good to kind of let go and just trust that whoever's guiding you is going to take you to a place that's peaceful or that you're going to get what you want out of the practice, whatever you want out of the practice. But to kind of let go of, because you have to have a certain amount of focus if you're going to follow the class. Same thing with dancing.
Mhm.
So I love same concept. So I love like partner dancing, like improv partner dancing,
Right.
because it's a similar feeling. It's very meditative to me. I let go of like plans. I'm not like reflecting on the past. I'm not projecting into the future because I don't have the bandwidth for it.
Yeah.
So I'm totally just present in my body. And partner dancing is a totally different thing because it's
Yeah.
like an invisible language and you're communicating with your third eye, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
but you're communicating in a way beyond words.
Right.
And you have you're dropped into a very unique space, and it's fun as a follow. Like if I'm following a lead, I don't have to think about controlling it.
Mhm.
I can just like relax and like
That's freedom right there.
yeah. So the same thing happens when you're taking a yoga class, but you have to be
Yeah, that's interesting. So we've been talking about freedom, and from my life, being a performer in an improv context, there's nothing freer than going out on stage and not feeling like you have to have a pre-planned script and trusting in who you're working with
yeah.
and reacting in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's anything could happen. But it's just about like you have the freedom to do anything. You're not bound by a script.
Right. That's stressful. Like if you're anxious and you're worried, it's stressful.
If you put pressure on yourself to entertain the audience.
Right.
But if you approach it as just with like a sense of curiosity, like let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Then it's not stressful. But if you put pressure on yourself, oh, I want to make sure the audience is entertained, then it starts to feel stressful.
Well, for me, it's when I found myself getting in my head before shows, it's because I didn't get focused beforehand. It's because I didn't do the type of warm up. I'm being serious.
Breath work.
Yeah, it's
the breath work alone does wonders for me.
It gets you out of your head. It gets me out of my head anyway. And for anything that I do, it's just because you get in your head and you start second guessing yourself, and you start playing scenarios out, and you're like, well, if this and for improv, and this is why it's good for anybody, even if you don't like to be a performer, to take an improv class.
Yeah,
because you can apply it in your life. If you're in your head, you're starting to play out scenarios that depend on other people acting in a way that you're controlling in your mind. It's never going to happen, but then you get locked onto that, and so you start behaving,
trying to force
this script, kind of like people do when they react to media stuff, and that's just going to cause people to react weird. If it's a performance, people aren't really going to laugh, and there's nothing good about it. But it all comes from that fear of judgment and failure and anxiety that is all from not being in the moment and not trusting who you're working with.
Yeah.
And so that's why I am a big advocate of this, which I have stated as gay, yoga, because it does. And that's why Buddhists fascinate me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was these Buddhists going across the nation doing this. What, did you see this?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah.
It's crazy that they did these studies on these Buddhists with their brain matter. The gray matter is like bigger in their minds from their level.
For meditation.
I just envy that so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to get there. It's just about discipline. And if you're just, it's really just about being still and, meditating. If you meditated every day, you could have that same brain chemistry.
Right.
It would change your life. People often are like, well, you're meditating for yourself. But really, you're meditating for others, because when you meditate, you're a lot less reactive.
Right. You're in
know,
traffic. People cut you off. You're going to yell at them. And
you're a lot more peaceful.
yeah.
You have, you have more self-control. So that is going to impact others. So it's like, I don't know, some people think meditation is like this self-indulgent thing, but the reason I do it is for others, not just for myself.
Meditation is getting back to nature. It's getting the chaos out, I think. I don't do it as much as I used to, and talking to you, it makes me want to refocus on it, because it's very beneficial. It's never not had a beneficial effect in my life. Okay, we should wrap this up. We could talk all night. Yeah. You did give me a few ideas here, which I typed here. I think it'd be funny to have Ted Kaczynski at a speed dating event as a sketch.
Oh my god!
And also, I wonder if there's any Buddhist gamers. Probably not.
Oh my! I wonder if they exist. That's a great.
They probably fucking murder. They probably just kill everyone.
Yeah.
The games are probably the best at it.
Oh my gosh, I never thought about that before.
We did have a comment here. Chuck Norris, because Chuck Norris just died. R.I.P. Still have Walker. Chuck Norris once told a woman to calm down, and she did. Very good. Good job, Chuck. Let's play a little Who Committed the Crime from the Smoking Gun.
Okay.
See the people on screen who are arrested. For those listening, we have a blue-haired woman, I think woman. You have an old lady, a very old lady. You have a smiling young black guy. You have a very deviant-looking brunette. And then you have a guy who it looks like, I don't know, he looks like an old neighbor who's asking why you haven't spoken to him in weeks. I don't even know how to describe that guy. And then the crimes committed is keeping vicious dogs. So it must have been biting people. Drag racing, impersonating an officer, larceny of cable TV, crack cocaine possession. I think. Okay. All right. So what do you?
So you want me to do this?
Well, no, we're both going to do it.
Okay.
They're both going to decide.
You can do one.
People. So my initial instinct, and I'm not going to be, is crack cocaine is either going to be. So black people don't do crack as much.
I would say her or the guy at the end.
It's either going to be. So you think the white guy could be the crack at the end? I think it's either this girl or that black guy, personally.
Crack cocaine?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because is it crack or is it cocaine?
Yeah, maybe the girl.
But you think? But I think you could. You were 5 out of 5 last time. I was 1 out of 5.
Oh, that was a joke. I didn't really get 5. I got 0 out of 5, and then I went back. And I didn't really get 5.
I thought you got a perfect score.
No.
All right, then keeping vicious dogs. I'm gonna say it's the old guy on the right, keeping vicious dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Drag racing. I'm gonna say it's the blue-haired chick with drag racing. Okay. Impersonating an officer. Okay, so this makes me rethink everything. It's definitely not the woman in gold impersonating an officer, right?
No, I wouldn't think so.
I think it might be that guy, the white guy.
Okay.
That's my thought.
I could see it. I could see him doing that.
It's got to be one of the two guys, right?
Yeah. I mean, not necessarily, though.
That's sexist of me.
One time I got stopped by a cop on Halloween, and I was wearing a cop outfit because I was on my way to like a Halloween party.
Oh, really?
And I got stopped by a cop because I was speeding, and I made a joke. I was trying to like get him to lighten up. I was like, "I'm not impersonating an officer," and he didn't appreciate it.
That's funny.
Sorry, I digress. So I'm saying it could be a girl. Is my point?
Right.
Like it could be a female.
No, a female is free to impersonate a police officer in this country. I got pulled over in an astronaut suit after my show one time, and the cop was like, "What unit were you in?" I was like, "I was just doing a show." He was not happy with me at all.
All right, so maybe impersonating an officer, far right, crack cocaine next to him.
I couldn't go with that.
Drag racing.
I think larceny's her.
Okay.
It'd be funny if she's drag racing though.
She could be keeping vicious dogs.
Oh yes.
I think she's keeping vicious dogs. Actually,
you might be right about that. Let's go with that.
It's drag racing, actually. Yeah.
She looks tough. Larceny of Cable.
See.
Let's find out.
Okay.
3 out of 5. Not
That's
bad.
not bad.
So right, the drag
I was
racing was
right.
correct.
I was
Crack
I was
cocaine?
right.
The old woman was crack cocaine?
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine bailing her out. Great grandma.
Hey, so that's 70. Yeah, not bad. 3 out of 5.
It's pretty good. Larceny, we had that right. Okay, not bad at all. Okay. Thank you guys for hanging out in the active chat. That was fun. Thank you for sticking around and talking to us. You have a perspective, and you're welcome back anytime. Where they can find you on social media?
Oh, yeah. So if you like philosophy, literature, I'm going to start doing more on this channel called Wonder and Whimsy. It's YouTube. Or you can just follow me on my other channel. I post a variety of things. I do movie reviews. I do like a comedy stuff. It's just Carrie Hamilton Actress. That's another YouTube channel. And then I have Yoga Flow with Kim, where I have like YouTube tutorials, yoga, Pilates, nutrition, recipes, meditations, breath work, all this stuff on Yoga Flow with Kim. If that piques your interest, you can also just follow me on Instagram, Kim_ham22, and there's like links to all my stuff on there. So,
and you guys should follow her if you like this show. Then you will like what Kim offers. Does great work. Funny, is not woke. Likes to just help people and have a good time doing it. So check her out, and you can check me out at propagandafight.com and all the podcasting apps, Propaganda Report Podcast. And 9:30 p.m. Come to the subscriber only show on patreon.com/propaganda report and propreport.locals.com if you want to get access to that, as well as ad-free versions of the audio-only version of the show. And if you don't want to subscribe, let the ads play through and leave a 5-star review. That warms our hearts. That always helps me. We will talk to you guys next time. Y'all have a fantastic rest of y'all's day.
peace.
Bye.